Welcome back to Insider Knowledge, the podcast with exactly 2 out of 3 qualified for Worlds players. We're going to have to trash talk Baya quite a bit because he's definitely going to trash talk the server quite a bit. So we got to make it up where we can.
At least I can make top 16, when I qualify, at least something.
So true, so true.
Okay, bro. Okay. We're out here losing on tiebreakers, man.
Oh, did you both? You both lost on
We both
tiebreakers,
went
right?
4
Yeah, we
3.
both
Yeah.
won. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people went 4-3.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that was one of the things that I don't know if you were in here when we were talking about it, but like a lot of the people we were expecting to do well just kind of ended up 4-3, which isn't
Mhm.
bad. They just didn't make top cut. So
Yeah, it's like positive win rate record, right? That's still
yeah.
so good, right? Especially in that field that is so stacked. Yeah, it just pity for them, of course. Like in the end, especially I think the biggest pity was, for example, Barcode that for some time thought that he's qualified even to top 16, and then we found out that bid percentage is the way how the tiebreaker went, and Further get in. Good for Further, of course, set for Barcode. But in the end, what was your run? How did you enjoy it? How did it go? I guess we watched Aikado on his stream, but maybe we don't know that much about it. So I guess you can both go.
Well, I won round one, and then I played against Talpinator in round two, and I did lose.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It was a little bit of a frustrating loss because um, I played around some stuff, and he had other stuff, and I lost to it. But it was not the most frustrating game of the day because it's kind of like I I don't know. I heard there were people who were basically saying Talpinator played terribly in the match against me. I don't think that's true. I think Talpinator played very well against me. I think
Very
he
well
did
on
get
Florida.
lucky.
Yeah.
He also played well to convert it. And there's this kind of feeling of like that isn't as frustrating, particularly in hindsight. It's frustrating after the fact, but like at least you feel like they deserve to get lucky. They play well,
Hmm.
they get lucky, they
Yeah.
beat you. And it's like, okay, cool.
It was one of the games that we were following, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
it was on
Yeah.
mainstream, yeah.
It was like it was very sad to see because I think not only like he got a little bit lucky, I think you got extremely unlucky in that series. Like he got
Yeah.
like some unplayable hands. So like it was, I guess that's the murder thinking, right? In the end, like I think that was something that everyone who went with murder them as went into the tournament. The deck isn't particularly consistent, and it
I
just
mean,
sometimes does something like this.
I definitely had lines to win that game. I don't think I should have taken them because it played into other stuff, but I definitely had lines to win that game. And it's kind of like I still feel like Talpinator played very well, and like the fact that he got lucky doesn't entirely
Hmm.
bother me. I had other rounds that were much more frustrating. Where like I played a Jack Sword Mirror where I drew Ajax in the top 20 cards of my deck, and I was required to beat double Saurian, Harsh Winds, or 2 Jaxes, and it was like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, that one's not happening.
That's just the mirrors, right? In the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something definitely worth to mention because like very often you just see the tournaments, and that's why something that I try when I watch party when I comment is something that there's some lines that of course are very obvious because you see both of the hands,
Yeah.
right? But the players don't see both of the hands, so that's very hard to like you have to be thinking about so many cards that you even don't see currently in the head, right? So that's something that especially people in sometimes in Twitch chat might not catch and like be so confused about the lines.
Yeah. The game against Talpinator, I don't feel too bad about.
Hmm.
He played very well, deserved to win. I think he was like one of the most consistently good players that we saw like on stream the entire day. I mean, there were other good
Hmm.
players, of course, but Talpinator like consistently played very well every time we saw him. And
Because we can talk about the server run, the Aikado, and then we can maybe talk about the players.
yeah. I don't know. I lost the next round. I won two. I played against Aurora and lost, and then I won another one. My run was pretty eventful after being 1 and 2. Like I theoretically could have like won out and made top cut, but I win 2 games, I lose to Aurora, and then I win the next one and end up 4-3. And it's like
Mhm.
I feel good about it. Going 4-3 into tough competition is obviously good, but you don't always top cut, so it's
Yeah.
fine.
Like still positive in it, right? Like that's something that I think like especially in this field against so many good players is just valuable.
Hmm.
And what about
Yeah.
your Aikado? What about your run?
Uh, it's actually really funny. I spend all this time prepping this entire year. We qualify for Worlds. And you know what I'm excited for? I'm excited for the international competition. And I show up and get paired into Grandpa Roji round 1, and I'm like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me. You gotta be kidding me." Yeah, so I ran to, like, Roji round 1. He high rolled the shit out of me, and apparently used so much of his luck that he, then did not draw a playable card for the rest of the tournament, ended up dropping. So, you hate to see that. But no, it's actually really funny. I think I ran into, like 2 or 3 APAC players, and I didn't lose to a single APAC player. And then I think I went 50-50 against EMEA players, including beating like Karachi. Um, and then I did not beat a single Americas player, and that's why I didn't top cut, is because I lost to Americas players. You know,
America's too
Roji and
good.
Thai guy, and I don't remember if there's a third one or not.
I mean, in Swiss, Americas did have the highest win rate of any shard.
That's
And I
true.
mean, admittedly, as like America's like barely edged out APAC, the main like fun statistic from there is like EMEA was like 4% lower than either of the other two shards. Just absolutely horrendous win rate.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Also, like America had 6 people right in the top 16, so that was also
Yeah.
like big thing. In the end, we ended up on the classic old system in top 16 with 6 Americas, 5 IPAC, and 5 EMEA.
Yeah.
Something, by the way, very something cool to see. By the way, it was that like there's not that much region despite that. I guess maybe we might have seen something in like in the end, but like that EMEA won, of course. But in the end, like those shots are very close. Also something definitely worth mentioning is that this time didn't went as we expected with Blairwout in the last episode. 5 people out of mine made it to top 16. 4 people out of Blairwout list made it to top 16. So the people that were expected to do well didn't do that well.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
We talked about it a bit earlier, but I do think a lot of the people that people were expecting to do well just kind of ended up going 4-3, which not bad, but doesn't make top cut for anyone other than 2 people. 4LW and who was the other person who made it at 4 and 3?
I think it was for only, but
I think it was just 4LW.
It
Literally
should have
one
been
person
2
made it.
people.
I
it
think
was
literally
one
one
and a half.
person made it
It
because
was
there was no XOs.
Interesting. Weird.
I think that's how it worked.
Yeah, it was because there was 1.5 people gonna make it, and in the end there was no exact XO as I was saying. So yeah,
Yeah.
then it went that way.
You know, you look at some of the people who went 4-3. I think everyone was excited for like Floppy Mudkip. I mean, Floppy like started out 4-0. He beat Talpinator, he beat Chania. Like obviously he's out here beating really good players. I'm not certain what happened after that, but ended up 4-3 and ends up not making it.
I
You know,
know he
it's
lost to Kiwi. I know that he lost to Kiwi the last game.
yeah. But yeah, it's pretty like it's hard. You know, even like in like a Swiss cut to 16, like going 5-2 against some of the best players in the world is still very difficult. Um,
Definitely.
but yeah. I do like this format. The Swiss format is very cool. You know, it feels like we actually get to play games. And then the double elim top cut was also really cool. There was a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of storylines, a lot of fun there.
So this
But yeah.
is Swiss standings.
Light mode. Oh my god.
Does this have a dark mode? I would happily
to,
use a
like-
dark mode.
Imagine not having the dark reader, bro.
Yeah, you
Oh
need to
my
agree or
god.
something like that. Yeah, but he was only person. Something definitely worth to mentioning that like maybe I was gonna put it a bit at only 7 rounds because I think if we had 9 rounds in 64 people, we wouldn't have like any tiebreakers at all, and it would be just by score. I think that's how this works.
I don't mind tiebreakers like just outright. I do think it's very frustrating that like 4-3 could make top cut, but not for many players. Where you're sitting there and you're like, well, I hope I make it. I don't think that's the best, but
And I said like if mathematically 9 rounds would actually make it, that it's gonna be 16 players without any tiebreakers. So maybe like then it's maybe argument to have maybe, but otherwise yeah, the Swiss format was amazing. It was so much fun. Of course it was split to of course qualify to Worlds, lose I don't know 2 and basically being out. But it was still cool. It was cool experience. Also, maybe kind of better as well. Like we didn't catch everybody right. That was something that cool on the last was that we actually got to cast everybody right. And in the end, like if you didn't do well, especially LA, then it was very unlikely that you're gonna get streamed because of I just tried to of course stream the matches that are very very important. But in the end, especially the Swiss was very hype, and then double elimination top 16 was just crazy good. I think that's like so good. Only pity, something that I guess we might talk a little bit later,
the
is
finals.
that the finals not having rematch. Some people are confused. Some people expected it because that's how Riot Games
Yeah.
do it. We saw it in I don't know LEC and these type of tournaments where there's no bracketers ever. So I think it's just Riot standard, and I'm not surprised about it. But of course, from what I know in fighting games, it's a classic and stuff. So I'm actually don't
Yeah.
know, but
So typically in double elimination, the you have to reset the bracket. Where if the person in loser's bracket wins, you've essentially knocked the winner down to loser's bracket, and you play again. Um, Sometimes for the sake of tournament running on time, they'll do it where winner's bracket basically gets some advantage, where you'll see them like start up a game if it's like a best of 5 league match or something. Because we don't want to like do best of 5 league matches and then we have to run another best of 5 afterwards. Like that's too much.
in League
So,
they have side selection. They don't have anything like this. They have side selection in League of Legends.
okay. Yeah. So that's like a very typical way of doing it. I do think it's a little bit overblown because there is an advantage to staying in winner's bracket of you just don't have to play games and you
Mhm.
potentially don't get unlucky in those games. Because like Talpanair played like 8 matches in Top Gun, I think,
He
and
played
Chenia played
7 or 8,
5.
and then Chania played 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like there
which
was some advantage given to winner's bracket. I do think it's a little silly, and particularly like double elimination is specifically trying to alleviate this problem of breaking out and losing, and Chenia like makes it to the finals, breaks out and loses, and doesn't get that benefit. So
Especially it would be dumb if Seku got to finals and won, because then Chenya defeated Seku, put him down, and then Seka would and then they would be like 1-1, right, in the end.
yeah.
That would maybe like the dump, but because we had like this way, then it's kind of fine. But it would be dumb if exactly Seku, for example, made the finals and then beat Chenya. I think then would get weird.
yeah, I don't know. I definitely understand. It's more hype, I guess, if it resets the bracket. Um, I'm not too invested either way. I
Yeah,
think
like
it's fine.
I guess we had in Fight Nights we had bracket set like 2 years ago, but yeah, that's 2 years ago. But I guess that's something
Yeah.
that we used when
Yeah,
we used
but
to level
was it
bracket.
like it would be interesting to look back at how often bracket reset was like relevant
Yes.
in Fortnite, or not Fortnite, Jesus Christ, in
Fine.
Fight Night. Yeah, in Fortnite, the Fortnite bracket resets, guys, you have no idea.
Yeah.
No, I do, because like, okay, in LOR, I feel like a lot of the times, there's like some doomed fucking matchups,
Yeah.
and it's
Mhm.
more hyped if there's actually a way for somebody to get out. Like imagine like the seasons I played against Mo, right? Imagine if we had to like reset our bracket there. Of course it was single elim, but if it was double elim, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, so I have to play puff caps and like let's say a high roll him, and it's like, wow, he won that one. Bummer he has to go back and play those 30% matchups again. And it's like
Mhm.
I don't know, it's a little anticlimactic. It's a little whatever.
I do
Um
agree with you, but I think this finals would maybe be exactly the showcase of it, because I think
well, I
like
agree. Chania would have won
Burkick
100%.
Burkick almost won with that against the Nura Elder, right? Without snacks,
Probably
like
would be.
Alpinator ended like with
Yeah.
4 health, like, and imagine if he
I
got
agree.
snacks,
That
right? Like,
matchup's really bad. But
Yeah.
like I was telling people all weekend, right? Is that like I think that the Poro King lineups were like some of the best lineups to be bringing, but Poro King's a beatable deck. Like if you're playing Netty, if you're playing Karma, you can beat this deck. It's not
Yeah.
easy, but you can.
I,
And yeah, I think it was should have showcased in finals.
I mean, I do think it's like very interesting. So Chania like mulliganed Aurora Borealis in the matchup where he just has no snacks, bricks out, and dies. Um, I haven't played enough Poros. I'm confident that Chenia made the correct play, but like this
mhm.
is the cost of mulliganing Aurora Borealis.
There's no fucking way you keep Aurora
Yeah,
Borealis.
like
Yeah,
There's
nothing.
no way.
I believe
That's
he's
the
correct.
Reddit.
I
That's
believe,
Reddit coming in. I think I saw the Reddit post like the
yeah.
next morning. It's like, guys, I don't know if anyone else saw this, but did you guys know that Chania mulliganed away Aurora Borealis and didn't hit any of his 6 snacks or
Yeah.
Poro Kings? It's like
Like
true.
Very mathematically, there
certainly,
was.
certainly I believe you're supposed to mulligan Aurora Borealis, but like Chenny
Yeah.
had made that choice and did it with such confidence
Mhm.
that I believe he had like decided this is the correct thing to be doing, and like
It was
that
correct
fail
because
rate is the problem here. So
somebody did math, and it was 99.1% that he's gonna draw snacks or king. Like,
yeah, like
it's
I
just
fully
mathematically
believe it was
correct.
the right play.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah.
like
It is funny that that's how it ended up,
It
though.
was still fun
My
that it
guy
was
did
pretty
low
close
roll.
game in the end. Like, as I said, like 4 held for a top minute in the finals. And overall, like the finals were pretty hype. Of course, like maybe said that was 2-0, it wasn't 2-1. But overall, the tournament was like,
It was fun.
aside of format, it was just fun to watch. I think we had very interesting games. We had also some misplay, but that's something that I guess is just natural, especially thanks to the high stakes. But I think the players that did well were one of the best players and best performing that we have seen on the stream. And overall, yeah, EMEA 3 people in top 6 again. We are just the dominant region, right? In the end.
Oh, y'all did do well, but I am gonna take a moment to be like, y'all probably should chill out a bit.
Yeah, like therefore there was the Twitch chat. Like, okay, I'm down to make memes about like Americas. I'm down to make memes about APEC. I'm down for that, but never use like players as a
Yeah.
example because especially like it was very very dumb in that
Yeah.
thing in that case.
Mo is a very aggressive person. Go off. You can
Make fun of Mo
yeah,
exactly.
get
I
very
think
aggressive with
he was
Mo.
interested.
Completely fine. Might want to
Yeah,
chill out a bit with some people, but
yeah.
I'm sorry. So I wasn't watching the main broadcast because I was watching on YouTube, so I could like rewind. What's the context for this?
There was like
How much shit talk was like Mo having in like the main chat that it was
yes,
spilling over?
he was making a lot of
Mo
but
was
that's
trash
yeah.
talking a lot.
Was
Yeah,
just
okay.
talking about, but it wasn't about that much about the Momo. But after like Tiger lost, there was like Tiger, Omega Lu and stuff, and that's something that I just don't find cool myself. So, and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see much of this, so I don't understand the context.
I did not see anything like particularly egregious from EMEA, but I tend to trust people who are like just random
Yeah,
bystanders
just
in the
in the
situation.
end,
So
make fun of Americas, make fun of Mo. Don't make fun of the players because I think Tiger was one of the best performing players that we have seen. So, and also he made top six, top six, right? So,
well, moving on from depressing stuff. So
also something. No, I have
oh
one
wait,
more thing. Uh, I like sit down like it was like I don't know, it was like a month ago. I sit down with some people, and I think I found out a reason why EMEA is so dominant because it's a hat trick, right? We have three wins in a row, and it might be a little bit hot take, but I think the reason why EMEA is so good is because Alan and Lobster streams in the COVID times. And like it might sound weird. It might sound weird. But during 2020, during 2021, we had nothing to do. And let's be honest, every
and
EMEA competitor was just watching Alan and was just watching Lobster because there was nothing to do otherwise. And I think that's something that like I think America didn't have that much. That capacity of course we
yeah,
had like Jordan streams and stuff. But I think that's actually the reason why EMEA is like so dominant because I think that was like good starting point for a lot of competitors.
I mean, bringing that up, I do think like if you go back to that era, like it was not close, and EMEA was the best region then. Because like who was the best player in the Americas at that point in time? Like probably
Jordan.
Jordan. But like our second best player was probably BBG, like unironically, right?
Bro, y'all talk about when I was bad at the game. What the fuck? Come on. There's no way our second best player was fucking BBG.
Who
There's
else
dude,
was
there's just
it?
no planet. That's just not real. That's just not
I
real.
don't think like play.
Literally anybody else. Please, literally anybody.
I think like streamer wise, like if you're talking about streamer wise, it might be BBG. I think I saw like Haneke was
Are we
streaming
talking
for the time.
what year are we talking? Are we talking like
Like
2020?
literally 2020, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean,
2021,
okay,
yeah.
but like before fucking Targon or Shuriba came out, this wasn't even a real game. Like, come on.
But like that is the
Nobody
era
was
that
playing
like
this.
Bai is talking about here, and I think it like unironically is just BBG, and it's like, yeah, Allen and Lobster were a lot better than BBG. Like that is not really up for debate.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah, I don't know. When did Majin start streaming? In like early
Uh,
2021?
I think
Majin
after
started streaming
season,
after
right?
seasonals win.
Yeah.
I think he started before the seasonals win, but only like right before. I think that's how
Yeah,
it worked.
I mean he was streaming a bit, sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But yeah, double down.
Yeah, I've seen him after the season win, so yeah, that was the first time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that maybe, probably not, but maybe. I think that
and
like a lot of learning that happens in like 2020, I guess, is relevant. But I mean, I guess.
I think it was just like it's maybe a little bit of hot take, but I think it made sort of sense, especially like I think it was for example for me, I think like when I got my first worlds when I got to the season, I think it was like a lot about Alan because yeah, I was watching a lot of Alan, for example, and I think a lot of people, especially in EU, was doing that as well. So it's something
Yeah,
maybe interesting to think about, you know.
EMEA has definitely consistently had better streamers than the other regions because, like,
Is
I
that
think,
right?
I mean, now I think it's like competitive, but across
Uh-huh.
all time, do you think like America is like actually is close?
I think after I started streaming, absolutely, America's is 100% the best. What do you
I mean,
mean?
I think you and Majin like getting up there like legitimately makes the region competitive in terms of streamers, but the vast majority
Mhm.
of the time in this game, I think it was just like America's streamers are like content, and that is the streamers we have.
Wow. Yeah, because who's the non-content EMEA streamer in the last year?
Man, Lobster did
Me?
retire. That doesn't help.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Alan
actually
went to
not.
go play
Hello.
Alan
TFT.
went to play TFT.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Baya didn't even make Worlds.
Baya is now world
Sorry,
quality.
unironically sorry. I mean,
I mean, Sara's like a
I
solid streamer
sorry.
to have, so
Yeah.
Man, man, every time I watch Sorry, man, he's playing the worst deck on the planet, and I don't know like why he's doing that, but that's every time I watch Sorry. That's my every time experience.
yeah, Teddy
Yeah.
Teddy does stream semi-consistently.
Oh, but he streams
Teddy
on
streams like League of
America's time.
Legends.
Yeah, he streams League of Legends, and he streams on like fucking 2 a.m. Like every time before I go on Aikado stream, I see Teddy streaming. I'm like, sup Teddy, and he's like streaming. So like, I don't know if that's EU, you know, like he's
Bro, I
European.
watched Teddy at like 2 a.m. my time. Like homies out there just fucking
Yeah,
playing League at degenerate hours. My guy's wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
don't know.
definitely buy this theory that EMEA got a much better foundation from COVID, but
Mhm. But I guess we're getting closer, right? Like this was the showcase. I think that like
yeah, as much as people like to dunk on Americas, which is fair in reasonable contexts, I do think this like I do think it's overblown with the first worlds and this worlds. I think Americas did perfectly fine in both of those worlds. We shit the bed in the second worlds, but
Mhm. But it was also I think most also about like format because the auto format of qualifying was just like it was like giving only it was one tournament if you did it while you were in,
yeah,
right? And yeah, that was the thing that yeah, it's just like some open winners, right? Sometimes like tend to not be maybe the best of the best, right? And they did honestly, I think like if when we were like in top 8 or something like that, I think I was pretty sure that Seku gonna win. I think like Seku lineup was by far the best standing in the field, right? I do feel like.
Well, I think if you ran like this top 8, like 20, 100 times, I think Seku wins the majority. I think Seku had like such a good lineup. Not just such a good lineup, had such a good lineup into the other players. Talpinator high rolled the ever loving shit out of him. It was truly
I
disgusting
think Chenya
the amount of
also
high
hired
roll.
into him. Like Chenya,
Shinya also high rolled the absolute shit out of him. I feel
man,
really bad for Seku. He ends up at third here, but fuck, dude, I think that he was really favored at winning these.
yeah, I love his lineup and something that to add on because I guess I didn't say maybe my experience over the words. I think like yeah, I'm very satisfied with his prep and like from the day one when we saw lineup, I was like, man, second lineup is fucking good. And I guess it was also maybe because of like the field was the thing that I actually expected. I didn't expect the people to jump that much on the things that they jumped on. I guess
we
we
can
can
go.
talk about the words meta if
Yeah,
you want.
we can go
It's
look at the
actually
meta.
really funny.
But,
I was talking with Majin before we locked in. I was talking with him like Tuesday, and I'm like, you know what? This lineup of Poro King, Nico, and then Elder Dragon Elites is what I was saying. Seko ended up locking in Shyvana. I'm like, this is the best lineup. And he's like, yeah, but neither of us are gonna play it. I'm like, but it is the best lineup. We should probably play it. And he's like, even if you guaranteed me that I was gonna make top 8 with this lineup, I still wouldn't play it. I'm like, okay,
Okay,
fair, fair. I
you're
didn't
lying.
feel it, but
I, I I do think that like eventually that people gonna jump that much on the Mordekaiser. I think that was something kind of surprising to me when I saw this because Mordekaiser was just last 2 days of prep.
yeah,
For listeners that don't know that a lot was on Tuesday or Wednesday actually. And I think Mordekaiser were gonna become like think on like like it was like Monday, Tuesday thingy. So like it was really interesting to so many people jumping on the deck. In the end, it was 36 of Mordekaiser, Demacia. There was also 2 Kalista that did horrifically, but this
Yeah.
was still like a very similar deck. So
Yeah.
very interesting on that. And when I with my team, I was helping Donut for WQV, and sorry when I told them to play Perking Human Fizumi, Per King and Fizumi, and they didn't listen to me. And I think that was also very good foundation of lineup. And I think like J1 and Chenya were on it.
I do like Seku's lineup. I still like mine more, but
I don't know if I
Um,
like Jackson myself, but
yeah, so both of us brought Ned and Mordekaiser Morgana, right?
my
mhm.
brother in Christ, Jackthorn was the best performing deck of the tournament by a mile.
Fizumi had 62% win rate under it.
It had
That's true.
4 people.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, Jack Sorn. I think Jack Sorn is like still very, very good. I do fear that people will look at this meta snapshot and be like, "Oh my God, Jack Sorn wasn't even good." Because only 13 people brought it, and I think it was very good.
yeah, we were
Um,
talking about it doing cards that like I think a lot of people just got scared because in the end, when we brought something to prep, it was like, how good is it into Jackson, right? How good it is in Overwhelm, right? I think that's something that like were two very expected decks, and I think like a lot of people and like it was kind of underplayed because of that. I think because people were just scared about it.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you, Jackthorn like absolutely smashed people. I think it
I
got
do.
banned 6 out of 7 rounds for me, where people were just like, "Oh fuck, Jackthorn, get that shit out of here."
So yeah, I do think it's interesting. 57 Elder Dragon players out of
Yeah.
the 64, so only 7 people decided to not bring Elder Dragon. 45 Morganas. I think I said early in the week, like early in early access, I'm like, damn, I would not be surprised if 40 people brought Morgana and 40 people brought Elder Dragon. I did not expect 57 people to bring Elder Dragon.
Because Elder Dragon's
I do
okay.
think
I expected it that much Elder Dragon. I think Elder Dragon's broke, and I
well,
still
so
kind
this
of
I'm talking
broken.
like literally like fucking day 0 of the
I
testing.
expected since day zero. Like
I'm proud of you. You should have been at Worlds then.
yeah.
I do think that the meta would have been very differently if we had locked in like 3 days earlier or 3 days
Mhm.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, like I think that there was a pretty massive shift in the last few days. With like Nettie becoming like incredibly prominent, and then the Mordekaiser Morgana deck like hitting like a remotely like, oh, this list might actually be good. I think people fucking
Uh,
shifted hard in a few days.
I mean, there was this problem where like someone brought it up for me, like, why did everybody think Mordekaiser was just dog shit prior to Worlds? And it was like, if you remember Heisho meta, um, do you want to
Yeah.
play Mordekaiser into a deck with like 3 copies of Singular Will? To be clear, the worst version is playing 3 copies of Buried in Ice. Those are the options available to you. You are dead to rights. You're not
I
beating
think
these decks.
the other thing is, I don't know how much other people played Mordekaiser. I played like a lot of Mordekaiser once we hit live. Yeah, I played a lot of Mordekaiser Scion. I played a lot of like Mordekaiser Gwen. I played a lot of Mordekaiser because Mordekaiser. Every time I played him, I'm like, damn, I'm doing broken shit. This is like a broken ass card.
Yeah.
How am I not playing this deck? And then I check my win rate, and it's like, oh, I'm at 52%. When did I lose all these games? I feel like I'm always winning.
Yeah.
And I think that the lists just weren't there. I think until
Yeah.
Mordekaiser Morgana, even Mordekaiser Morgana, I'm not sure if that's like the Mordekaiser list, but it feels like it was obviously the closest, and enough people had confidence on it to lock it. But
Yeah.
like Mordekaiser, very much like do not revisionist history this. Mordekaiser was dog shit before like Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think like, especially there was like a lot of coping with like Mordekaiser Banquet Hall. I think it was something like the
Yeah.
infinite combo, right? And like people were so much higher on it. And I think in the end, like at the last moment, we found out that Mordekaiser with Aikado is not fine, you know. And I think that's something that
Yeah.
we found out in the last moment. And the Demacia version is just obviously the best, right? In the end, it only plays 6 Demacia cards, right? Being Morgana and the challenger guy with the suppress, right? And that's something that in the end, like it just needed some, you just need the stalling for the turn 7 and then
Well,
Rekindle, right? I
I
think.
think it also matters that like Demacia is uniquely good at beating the people trying to beat you. When someone's sacking up and playing like Ionia, bounce your Mordekaiser, get lost crap. Demacia, and particularly like the Mage Seeker guy, is
Mhm.
uniquely effective at shutting those people down. And it's like
Yeah.
no other region provides that. You can't get it from Shurima, you can't get it from Ionia. You have to play Demacia to get that. And it's like I think Morgana is kind of a take it or leave it card, but access to Mage Seeker Inquisitor fixing that matchup, or at least giving you play into it, is like not replaceable. You have
I
to
think
You
play
say
Morgana is
Demacia.
You say Morgana is the take it or leave it card, and yet might I point you to the Callista version that went like
I will
one
say,
and
like, if we look at the champions available in Demacia and Shadow Isles, there isn't something better. So we're playing
Yeah,
Morgana.
also, like Morgana is just good. Like let's be honest, like also Morgana can live on this deck because of hate spike, right? They target two, and these type of things. And like in the end, Morgana is just it's basically 1 mana 3 for a lifesteal. Like Morgana is kind of like good card just by itself, right? You don't need to
Morgana's
do much.
really good.
Yeah,
Mor-
Like this champion's really strong. When she flips, she like applies a ton of pressure, but she doesn't even need to flip. The fact that she like eats 4 of your opponent's mana on curve is like huge. The fact that you can never, ever curve develop into Morgana is absolutely massive. Like Morgana, even when she's not like in your hand coming out on turn 5, she's still applying pressure to your opponent's mana and your opponent's play on
yeah.
turn 5.
And you gotta play
Um,
Sorian into me, right? Go play Sorian. I'm gonna play Morgana, right? Like that's the thing. Like that's just the thing that people have to be thinking about. Just even if you don't have Morgana in your hand. So like I do think Morgana is maybe even maybe the best new champion. Honestly, I maybe this might be hot take.
I think
Maybe
Elder Dragon is. I
yeah.
think it's
yeah
hard to say not Elder Dragon,
yeah
but
okay.
I
It's
agree with
hard.
you. I think Morgana is really fucking good.
I guess I maybe wanted to say like the way that you just want to play, right? Because you don't want to play other dragon, you're gonna play one of it. But you know, Morgana is just the thing that you want to play because it's just so good, it's so effective what it's doing, right?
I mean, stuff has pivoted lately to like honest Elder Dragon
Mhm.
decks. Like Elder Dragon Shyvana, Elites is floating around somewhere. I mean, that one sometimes is like frequently is on a singleton Elder Dragon, but that deck can at least level Elder Dragon. It's not like Netty where it's like the best use this card gets is like pitching it to the Electro Harpoon that comes off a Concologist. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think just talking about the new champions. I think that Elder Dragon is fucking incredible, and I love how much flexibility it has. It might be too strong, it probably is, but I love that you're able to like play an Elder Dragon deck for every player. Like everybody should have an Elder Dragon deck
Mhm.
that they like because there's a control one, there's an aggro one, there's a mid range one, there's value, there's jerk off. There's so much different ways to play Elder Dragon, and I think that's really exciting. I think
And the
that's really
dragon is
cool.
what Shin was promised, right? We were promised with Jin that it's gonna be the, a lot of decks. In the end, we just end up on Ani Jin, and then after 3 months on Banda Jin, right? But that's kind of disappointment. But the dragon just gives you everything, and that's something. On Reddit, I saw a lot of comments that it should not be a thing, but I just love it so much. Of course, I do agree that Elder Dragon might be too good, especially with things like Bird Fast Bitter. It might be maybe too powerful, but in the end, I do like it, and maybe some small adjustment might be thinking. And that's what we see the winners. They're not that oppressive doing. It's like they're not like crazy.
I do think like I think Elder Dragon needs a nerf. I think it's enough over the line that we're just gonna have to nerf it. And I do think the like dishonest Elder Dragon decks, where it is just like a card you hope to never draw. It's just not leveling. I don't want to draw it like nor Elder Dragon. Maybe not elites, but there's these like really dishonest Elder Dragon decks, and I don't think that kind of lives up to what people are hoping to see from Elder Dragon. Because
I don't give
But
a fuck what
Golden,
people I don't give a fuck what people hope to see from Elder Dragon. Can I tell you how whiny and bitchy Reddit is right now?
yeah.
Oh, someone's taking my Timmy card, and they're playing it in their control deck. Do you know that they're allowed to play Broadmain now? Broadmain kills my units. Now, shut the fuck up. I do
Yeah.
not care at all. Let me play Elder Dragon. You got your big Timmy card, and it's flexible, and it turns out we could play it in other stuff. I think that's good. I think
Yeah.
that is good for the game. I think that is a good thing. Elder Dragon might be too broken. He might be too strong right now, but from a design standpoint, I love the fact that you're able to play him and not just like throw the biggest guys out there beat down. Like he has more to him.
Mhm.
I think that's a good thing. Reddit needs to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, also like on curiosity, when I saw this card, and you can see it on the last episode we did a set review. I said it. I'm excited to play Elder Dragon with Birdman. Who was right? Like that's the thing. Like I just expected it way. Like yeah, the Timmy beat one, it's funny and it's maybe doable in the Shivana especially. but it's just never gonna be that realistic. Like 75 attack is just too much. You know, it's not a card that it's never gonna be that good.
I mean, I'm not gonna complain about getting to play Burblefish and Lord Broadmane in another deck together, but
Burblefish has a
Without-
51% win rate.
yeah, Burblefish
Again,
without
I
the
feel like
water is
people-
cool though.
I feel like people are gonna hyperfixate on like the Worlds meta. I think to be very clear, Worlds meta is a snapshot of an
Yeah.
evolving meta. If we snapshotted 2 days earlier or 2 days later, it'd be very different. It was an
Okay.
evolving meta. We took a snapshot, and I think there's been very little like progression since then. Because I think a lot of people just like aren't actively out there grinding, trying to find the new broken deck.
It comes down right. Yeah.
The Nora Elder Dragon tech is solid. It's not incredible. It's not the most broken shit we've ever seen. It's a solid deck. Like I do not think that like Nora Elder Dragon is like so fucking broken that it needs to be gutted. I don't think that like the existence of Broadmane is so fucking broken that it needs to be gutted. Yeah.
But different something worth to mentioning is like you see this thingy, but like why is there so many these decks? I think it was because like in the end like we got Heisho nuked like few days
Yeah.
before the lock, and people didn't know what to play. There was like they had like maybe lineups around Heisho, that maybe some anti Heisho lineups, and in the end their lineup got nuked on Friday, and like then you have to be cooking, and in the end you just didn't know like what the meta gonna be like, so you cannot be like actually people gonna be a Mordekaiser, because I think it's a good deck, but I don't know if other people gonna be on it. So in the end they just went on the base lineup that was the safe decks that were just powerful, right? There was Nora Elder, Mordekaiser, and Karma set. I think that was like something that just people went based, they didn't like overthink the lineup because of that.
yeah, I mean the Heisho nerf is like unfortunate. I don't know. I get that people wanted it nerfed, and that card was kind of miserable, but it was very unpleasant dealing with. Like, we couldn't really test Heisho because it was bugged on early access, and then it didn't get bug fixed when we went to live, and then it got nuked from orbit unexpectedly, and it was like, cool.
Yeah,
Very
it was
fun.
definitely kind of dumb that like early access in the end. I think the prep was kind of wasted. Let's be honest. Like I think.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was wasted. I don't think it was wasted unless you spent the whole time practicing fucking Heisho. Which again, in early access, I don't know how much you played by. This shit was not testable in early access.
Yeah.
I know that
Heisho was
the
so
play.
fucking bugged to shit. Like there was nothing valuable to be gained from putting Heisho in your deck in early access.
Yeah, we gave up on testing it because it was like you would like kill him and the opponent would get cost reduction. Like it wasn't even like you silence it and they can still like play another Heisho. Like you vengeance
Like
it and
half
your
the time,
vengeance
the
is
card
free.
was literally just discounting your opponent's cards. Like it was just like
Yeah.
Targon's peeking, just random fucking. No, it was. Heisho was so bugged to shit.
But we were like preparing for like anti Heisho. I think like for example, we still have the best
So-
version of American Raven. I think like that was for example one of the big days that we were trying. There was more things. I wasn't that much proud of it. Especially on Alexis, I didn't have that. I didn't have account, so like it was.
Yeah.
I was
The comment about that is like you could have gotten stuff out of early access, but any attempt to test Heisho was worthless because the card was so bugged you had no clue what was going on. And it was like I don't know, it was like so if you remember like stress defense at one point in time could target nexuses in early access. So you could just like stress defense people to 6 life and then just burn them out. Heisho was like that severe of a bug, but it wasn't avoidable. So like you could test stress defense and be like, okay, well I just won't cast it on the Nexus. Heisho would just like discount random shit for no clear reason, and you're just like, what am I supposed to do with this information? My vengeance is free. Now I'm spending a bunch of brain power trying to avoid ruining my testing. Like we just gave up on testing it. So
I do think that Heisho is obviously a strong card, right? But I think that like just a bug fix probably would have been enough to bring Heisho in line. It probably still would have been strong, but like I think the snare deck wouldn't have been able to make it past bug fix. Bug fix being that if Heisho's removed or silenced, that it does not discount the next card played that round. Because as it was, even if you killed Heisho or bounced it, it would just play a free card anyway. I think that bug fixing that would have gone a long way towards making Heisho much more in line. I think that like Karma decks would have had a lot of play into it because you just like shoot plus bounce.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that SI decks could have been able to ping plus vengeance. I think that even like Targon decks could just blinded mystic it. I think there would have been a lot of play in Heisho. I think that like the all-in Heisho decks just would not have existed anymore.
Mhm.
And I think that we would have probably been in like a pretty interesting state. I think that the bug fix plus removing spell shield plus 10 mana, like even just removing spell shield, I've been like, yeah, this card is like not good. And I think that that's like fine, but like make it 10 mana too. Oh my god, right?
Yeah,
It
it
really
just
took
killed
this thing out
you.
back.
They just killed it. Like I think it was just reasoning also, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I never seen such a hate towards something like that since Azrael. I think Reddit was every hour there was like high show is problem, high show is problem, high show is problem, high show
Yeah.
is problem, and
I
like
mean,
I think Hero didn't want to risk anything. People just so much complained that I think
yeah.
it made maybe sense. Of course, sucks for your competitors, but man, that guy was so hated. Like it was crazy.
I mean, I legitimately think just the bug fix would have brought Heisho into like being a reasonable card. Um,
Mhm.
I think like you definitely would have seen Heisho if they only did the bug fix, but I think it would have been like a perfectly fine card that is fine to exist. Um, this like either one of these I think would have been a heavy nerf, and the fact that it was both and the bug fix, like
Yeah.
that card got deleted. Do not put that card in your deck.
Just the tank
Yeah.
cost is already making the thing that you cannot go high show into high show into high show, right? Let's be honest. Like it's
Yeah.
just that's just the base. That was maybe the most broken thing. If you got high show into volleyball or something like that, that was like the most stupid thing, right? But if you go only high show into like volleyball, it's not that problematic in the end as well. So, um,
Here's my super hot take, okay? People really did hate this card. I guarantee you. If we could find an alternate universe where we could just take a peek in, where Heisho wasn't an Ionia card, where Heisho was a Freljord card, I think there would have been much less hate. I think that people were primed to hate Heisho because it's an Ionia card and there's so much anti-Ionia sentiment.
I
I
mean,
think people were primed to hate it.
I do think there is some of that because I definitely saw people like just malding about Ionia. Specifically, they were complaining about Ionia breaking the meta, and it's a screenshot of a Freljord Elder Dragon deck. And I'm like, motherfucker, that is not Ionia.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Honestly,
I
high show even was bad after the bug fix. By the way, I think like it still be so much hated, and that's why they also shoot it because like high show was hated before it got released. High show got
I
hated
hate
on
the
early
discourse
access.
around Heisho, by the way. The fact that nobody like engages with what the card actually does, and like, don't you know that someone can Heisho into Heisho into Heisho into Volibear every game? It's like I can't engage with this.
Yeah.
The Heisho discourse was so fucking cringe. Um, Again, I think Heisho was obviously a very strong card, right? I think that once we figured out like the sigil shell, I think it became a very strong card. And I think that sometimes it did just like auto win games by letting you play like 36 mana worth of value. It's like, but at the same time, if your discourse around it is Heisho and Heisho and Heisho, I can fucking OTK you on turn 2 with through a blocker right now in the game. That doesn't mean it's good. Like that this isn't how we evaluate anything. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, I do think like so Spell Shield. I don't know about Spell Shield. Like feels like maybe it's like worth having on a giant expensive bomb that you have to play. The fact that you could Heisho into Heisho, I do think is a little bit dumb and just kind of like asking for stupid ass high rolls. Or like,
Yeah,
you
and there were stupid ass high rolls for sure.
maybe
100%.
we shouldn't let them do that. Um,
100%. It was very much like a high roll. And like what happened, like, yeah, you won the game.
yeah,
Weirdly enough, when you high show and high show and high show into Volibear, you did in fact win the video game.
yeah.
Did you?
Weird.
I still love it. I let it dragon with that usually. So
Yeah.
that's also the thing.
True. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else we wanted to cover with high show?
I don't think with
Um,
Oh,
Heisho.
apparently, I'm sorry. Apparently, I think that Heisho was unplayable the whole time and
Yeah, so true, so true.
terrible, and I can't believe anybody played it. And God,
It was because
the
Majin,
discourse
right?
around that was also super fucking cringe. It's so I just
Majin started it, didn't he? Like I
the
was on his team.
misinformation train, dude. Oh my god. Fucking I get memed on Twitter where someone, someone posts about how they feel like Heisho is completely unplayable, whatever. Turns into a copy pasta that then Majin tells like 2,000 people is like, yeah, Aikado, he said that. It's crazy. I'm like, no, I didn't. What the fuck
Yeah,
are you
I was
talking
honestly,
about,
I
Majin?
was asking, what does I could actually think about Heisho? And he said like, man, he actually thinks it's bad. And I was like, what?
Majin was out here just fucking peddling shit, dude. I don't know why.
Deserve.
Fucking Majin. Okay.
Well,
What are we looking at next?
we can talk about meta stuff. We can talk about rotation. We can talk about nerfs. I don't know. We got like
I think
a
I've played
4-month
about
break,
like
but
like 10 games. Since Worlds. Has the meta changed at all? It seems like a lot of the win rates have evened out.
there's a lot
It
more
seems like
like Elder Dragon Shyvana. I
That is
don't
now
know.
poke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot more like
I've played
Fizz
fewer
Uni.
games since Worlds. Yeah,
The
Fizz is a
like
big thing. Yeah.
the kind of weird decks that people saw at Worlds, those are popping off where it's like not just like the bog standard nor Elder Dragon that people knew about before Worlds, people know about now. But I don't know, nothing drastic shifting.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like people taking off, right? In the end, I guess something interesting that was worth mentioning is that it seems like on 13th of January we're gonna have another open, so maybe there's gonna be then a
it's
meta evolution.
unconfirmed, by the way. Unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed. I said it seems like that's why I said it.
Well,
Unconfirmed.
so when you
But
say seems like, it sounds like, to be clear, I'm pretty sure that we asked a rioter, and a rioter was like, yeah, don't, we're not confirming that. So
we not
Yeah.
but okay. On Lurpert, it wasn't in calendar. Now it's in calendar. So I
Marshall puts a lot of shit out there that he does not confirm. I just need to be very clear. We do not know for certain. There might be, there might not be. Yeah.
yeah, but maybe there's gonna be. But then I guess there's gonna be some meta evolution. I assume that people are gonna take some Christmas break. That's something you definitely should be doing as well. And then they're gonna be coming back. And then I assume we're gonna see some meta evolution. But I don't assume that there's gonna be much in the upcoming days. And maybe like a week. It just makes sense. Yeah? Like people are just not brewing. People don't have like reason for that as well, right? Like in the end.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, ladder is
100%.
completely irrelevant. People are like playing a lot less than they normally do, so
Yeah.
I
I
don't.
imagine though that like how in tune are we with like the more casual crowd, right? That like just saw Worlds and they just saw all these cool decks. Are they excited? Are they like, oh my god, I get to play all these really cool fun things. Let me go try them out. Are they having fun on ladder? Because again,
I
I've been taking
don't.
a couple days off.
I don't know. I mean, I do like spend some time around Reddit trying to figure out what people think. People really hate Mordekaiser on Reddit.
Yeah, the banquet hall especially. I saw people hate the use like people even though like it seemed like that they were very happy about the expansion. I see a lot of like comments about Morgana that they hate the Shackles, that they hate Mordecai as a banquet hall, and that they hate the usage of Elder Dragon. So
Wait, are people really complaining about Mordekaiser Banquet Hall?
yes,
Banquet Hall, yes. Also, just Mordekaiser straight up.
To be clear, Mordekaiser incredibly fucking toxic. On my bingo card of like toxic cards that came out, I wasn't like Mordekaiser's the most toxic shit on the planet. I thought Morgana was going to be. I thought putting people in like perma jail. I thought that was going to be, but no, Mordekaiser. I don't know if we talked about it. Like the last one was when Mordekaiser first came out, right? And I think that my take then was there's too much text. I don't understand what this card does. Now my take is, why the fuck does he have level 2 text on level 1? Why is he the
Yeah,
strongest man on the fucking planet?
yeah, he
And
doesn't care about
why
level.
why does one Mordekaiser dying mean that for the rest of the game they could just play 2 mana Mordekaisers with like Rekindler, and he's fucking
Yeah.
impossible to kill. They have infinite Mordekaisers. Christ Almighty, this card is so fucking toxic.
yeah.
Yeah, like
It's very funny to me to see like so when rotation happened. One of the reasons that they gave us was like we're rotating these cards like Twisted Fate so that we can have new draw cards that like fill the space that would have been busted with Twisted Fate. And it's like, okay, that kind of like sounds reasonable on the surface, and then you give us Sunken Temple, and I want that card fucking vivisected on my table. Like, Jesus Christ, I hate that card. Also, like,
And then
there's
we end
no
up in a world
goddamn
where
way. There's
you
no
print Mordekaiser, and it's
there's
like,
no
okay, what about all
goddamn
these
way.
self-slay cards?
There's no goddamn way Mordekaiser makes it to an Eternal season with Ravenous Butcher. No fucking way in hell.
Yeah.
Bro, I was impressed. I'm running fucking the halberd card, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, this halberd card's not very good, but post Mordekaiser, having this unit speed is kind of good, and that costs 1 mana. Butcher 0 mana. You just start butchering fucking rekindlers.
So something that I wanted to mention, like, okay, man, like, imagine that you're a new player, right? You come out to Worlds, you're like, oh, let's watch Worlds, and do you see somebody using his champion that he sacrifices him so he can use him?
There were so many times where, like, I against Karachi in the mirror, he played the 6 drop, that makes an 8/4. So I'm Mordekaiser on 7. My first action is shipping Mordekaiser straight after that 8/4, and I'm like, please kill my fucking Mordekaiser, please.
Somebody mistake in your something, some prayer or something like that, and like you hate spike in your Mordekaiser, so he dies. And like, but like imagine like how confused some people have to be like doing the Mordekaiser against, because like there's so like honestly Mordekaiser mirror is very kind of complex, and like yeah, it was crazy
Mordekaiser
to see as well.
Mordekaiser's a lot going on. And I think that was relevant at Worlds, by the way. I think people didn't have as many reps on this deck as they did on other decks. I think especially because it didn't like become really relevant until like Monday, and then like the good list didn't come around until like Tuesday night, and we locked in Wednesday at noon, or Wednesday at like 10 a.m. or something. So like I think a lot of people didn't have as many games on this as they should have, because even in top 16, I watched a lot of people actively throw their Mordekaiser games because they like didn't understand the, small mechanics. They didn't understand like broad overreaching like macro game plans.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
grass, yeah.
I definitely think
Also,
people didn't have enough reps, but I also think like Mordekaiser mirrors were like just absolute nonsense 90% of the time. Where you're sitting there and you're like, okay, well, like normally you would kill like the prey, not the wings or whatever that token is called, because I'd like it to be able to like kill it and get another 0/1. But because this is the mirror, I actually care about managing my board space. So maybe I kill the token that produces another one so I can kill the 0/1 for additional EXP on my
I
Mordekaiser.
The other thing is like you have your, okay, let's just picture for a second, okay? You have Mordekaiser. Opponent has Rekindler and Mordekaiser. Which one do you vengeance? It's like, fuck, dude. I'm gonna try and go after I'm gonna have to go after the Rekindler. They're gonna fucking kill it, and it's like, oh, this is, yeah.
also something that we were mentioning a lot during our watch party was the dead grasp interaction, because I think that grasp interaction is probably a bug. But if
It
you don't
might be
know,
bugged. Yeah,
Yeah.
Death's Grasp, if you have a Death's Grasp, right? It says to kill one of your units to deal 5 to another unit, right? If the unit that you're pointed it at, right, like your opponent's unit that you want to deal 5 to, if that dies for some reason, like say it got glimpsed, your unit does not die.
Yeah.
This fizzles. It does not kill your unit, which is not how Hate Spike works. It's not how Atrocity works. It's not how Crumble works. This is an interaction that seemingly very few people in the top 16 knew, because they actively threw games turn after turn after turn because they did not realize that they could fizzle this card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it
I
has
don't
to be
know.
back. I think it has to be back, especially because Hitspike makes sense because it's still great husk no matter what. But I think the thing is that Atrocity still kills, right? That Crumble still kills. It's something that I think then just shows that this should be
Yeah.
back, and hopefully it's
I
gonna
don't know
fix.
if it's a bug or not. All I know is that that's the way it works. All I know is that when I played, my fucking 70 games of Mordekaiser in preparation, I learned how it worked, and it seemed like nobody fucking knew how it worked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely think it's a bug, but I don't know. Like the combination of this deck showing up super late and having like one of the most nonsensical mirrors of all time, like
The mirror
not gonna turn
was
out too
like,
great.
not
But
only were there a bunch of like weird things that you had to do like in the micro of the mirror, there were also like half your games of testing just didn't matter because like either one person had Mordekaiser and the other didn't, or one person had Mordekaiser plus Rekindler and the other person didn't, or one person had Mordekaiser and Rekindler and the fucking suppression guy and the other person didn't,
yeah,
right? Like at any point, if there's like an uneven amount of like tools given to one side, they're so powerful and they snowball so hard that like the mirror just becomes a joke.
yeah.
It's in the ones where everyone has like equal tools that's like, oh fuck. This is like there's so much shit going on. You're fucking trying to figure it out like on the fly. You're trying to, like think through the theory of like, okay, how should this work?
I mean, you have to
Um
fucking like track board space and hand space at the same time, where you're sitting there like, okay, on their turn, if they open Mordekaiser, what's their EXP looking like? Can I curse them and then Mordekaiser them? Like,
Yeah,
absolute
it's great.
nonsense.
It was so like complex and like that's something that I didn't want to like shit on players when they misplay the mirrors because there's no practice basically as well like how they are and like it's something that yeah it's just not sure that they're gonna play
I
them
just
perfectly.
want to shout out again. We talk about it sometimes, but frankly, not enough. Shout out to the Oracle's Eye. Without the Oracle's Eye, this deck would be unplayable. I cannot tell you the amount of times. Again, I at this point I have like 100 plus games on Mordekaiser. I have like 70 games on this Mordekaiser Morgana deck. The amount of times that I like spend like 30 seconds just cycling through. Okay, if I hate spike this unit into this unit, what happens? Okay, if I hate spike this unit into this unit into this unit, the amount of like combinations that I have to try every single time and check the eye every time. If I had to track this shit on like
Yeah.
paper tables, oh my god, it's so doomed.
So
It's so
it's
fucked.
good that I doesn't lie because in past I sometimes tend to lie, but it seems like with Mordekaiser it doesn't lie ever. So that's at least some,
Thank
some good
God.
thing.
Oh my god. Shout out to the Riot devs. Thank you for
Yeah.
Oracle's Eye not lying with Mordekaiser, because if it lied even a single time, I would have brain boomed. The fact that we did not have to worry about it lying ever.
How about we
Mhm.
nerf Mordekaiser by making it so if you put a hate spike on the stack, the Oracle's Eye just doesn't work? Because that's how it used
Stop
to
it.
work.
You're stop it, Satan. Just because it summons
So the eye's
a
like,
random husk.
sorry, dude, random husk, no clue.
We don't know. Yeah, exactly. It's random. Exactly. A good point.
I
Wait,
do like that
why is
they
that not
changed
thinking
that.
though? Because
So it's a face down card in
Yeah.
the preview. I think that's good.
oh, isn't like wasn't like they changed it? Okay, I didn't know. I
Yeah.
think that, like
It's
the
like
blue card was also the thing, wasn't that?
at one point the eye just wouldn't work, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Victor thing. If you put a Victor thing on the stack, you just cannot check the eye.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many things get added to the stack, you will never be able to check the eye, and it's just like, oh well fuck.
Yeah, and man, like a lot of players are so used to
Yeah.
I, and especially man, that's my issue with when I'm playing against other dragon, or like when I'm counting my attack, my open attack, man. Like, am I leveling this? Man, this is hard math for me. Like 75. I'm supposed to count that.
There's a lot of addition in Elder Dragon.
A petition to make calculator in the game, by the way. It's just like Elder Dragon calculator or something like that.
I will say, I've never before felt like, oh my god, the math is really hard, but oh my god, the math is really hard on Elder Dragon. I don't know if it's you guys, but like maybe I'm just stupid. There's a chance I'm just stupid. I haven't been in school in a fucking decade. But oh my god, trying to keep track, like a running track of like how much Elder Dragon progression there is, how much is on board, how much they're able to do with this buff and this buff and this buff. It's a pain in the ass.
It's just like a lot of reasonably large numbers that you have to add together, and you don't have enough time. And it's like, all right.
Mhm.
Yeah, like if you give me time, of course I can
Yeah.
count to fucking 75. But like, oh my god, sometimes there's like 12 and 15, and this thing has fucking 8 attack, and like, what if they don't attack with that? And keeping the running track just as hard.
Yeah, yeah. Like good when you attack, then you have I. That's I guess some good thing. But then
Yeah.
if you like form up in hand, then like okay, is it actually an
And the thing is, when you're trying to play against your opponent, right? That's the big thing,
yeah,
is
yeah.
when you're playing around your opponent's ability to flip it. Yeah.
But overall, like big props to Riot about the new champions. I think all of them are very, very cool, and also very good that they actually changed the meta. I guess we can look
Yeah.
at last words when we had only Atox and then unplayable Rice and unplayable Barcaro, right? And it was like pretty joke, and we just had like all meta, but we had completely new meta.
Well,
It was
yeah,
great to
it's
see.
CS, right? Like, let's old worlds had a lot of new shit too. It's just it wasn't the
It
champions.
was CS and Atox, I guess. And then we didn't find acolytes, yeah, but like in the end, it was CS and Atox only.
Yeah.
I'm glad we found acolytes this time.
I don't know.
Acolytes was fucking sugary snare Heisho, and we found it. I'm glad.
I do think what's it called? This expansion is like a lot of fun. And I think some of that is like we released strong cards and it's just fun. Like
Yeah.
that's as much as like we should probably nerf some of these cards. Mordekaiser like definitely needs a hit. Elder Dragon needs a hit. Maybe Morgana needs a hit. I'm not sure about Morgana without
Maybe
like,
one held less,
something
maybe one
else.
attack. I don't know, something like that. I think that
I
would
don't,
be
I don't
like
even know if my Elder Dragon needs a hit. Honestly, fuck it, leave him.
He's
That's
so
a
fun.
that's
And
a
like he's so fun.
dubious.
His deck building is so fun. I love Elder Dragon deck building. And
I'm so glad that we had Elder Dragon in early access. I think that like if we had like some really simple champions, the early access like would have been like pretty fucking boring. But the fact that we had Elder Dragon meant that like every single day we were coming to the table with like a new brew, and it's like, okay, well here's a new idea of how to play Elder Dragon. I was showing it on stream. I fucking the Netty deck. I built this deck like minus like 5 cards on literally day one of of prep. Like I just love that there was so much deck building to be done
yeah.
with Elder Dragon.
So he had like interesting card that was good. We had Rice, last words. And it was like I did a lot of cooking with Rice, but unfortunately everything fucking sucked. So it was also kind
Did
of maybe
everything just suck, or
because
did
of
we just
Alarm.
like not find the right build?
Well, they hadn't buffed Spell Mana Rune yet.
Yeah, they didn't buff the spell.
Oh, okay, but wait, wasn't Majin like doing fine with like old Spellman Rune?
The
Like,
meta was
okay,
too
if
fast.
we brought the
The meta
Ionian
was too
deck,
fast. The meta was too fast.
Fine, maybe. Well, the other problem is like, so you could bring like Nerf to Rise, which was like vaguely playable if you had like the right list. And you were playing into a meta of Red Gwen, Aatrox, and like CS.
Yeah. Yeah, that
That's
was
not gonna
the
go
meta.
well.
The meta was just too fast for that being good matchup.
I mean, you're playing like bad Rise, and you're playing into like an abysmal meta.
So like finding the good list was so hard. We played like
Yeah.
SI, we played SI, we played Ionia, we played a lot of them, and yeah, we didn't just find it. Like it's like it was also thinking that also I guess the difference between this worlds and last was that you had actual life patch, right? In the end, I guess life patch was the crucial one because it makes sense. Also, it was kind of funny that actually the meta that we found out on our access, like we played the Dragon Pharaoh, we played the Morgana even, instantly became meta after live patch became live. That's something that maybe
Yeah.
kind of weird because the access wasn't that valuable in the end. I think this time, especially because of Heisho nerf as well.
Yeah. What else? We can talk about rotation. Seku flipped a coin for what deck to queue. We love to see it.
He did it multiple times, by the way. I was watching him; he was doing it multiple times, and yeah, I guess he listens too. I still don't think that it's the correct way how to do it, but
I mean, I don't know. I do think some of it has gotten blown out of proportion. So it is. Unfortunately, we have to use a technical term, but like the term for it is game theory optimal. If someone flips a coin, there is no advantage to be gained. So if you are worse than your opponent about predicting what they're going to play, you should flip a coin. As soon as someone flips a coin, there is no advantage to be gained. So someone should flip a coin every match. If you want to try and figure out if you should be flipping a coin or they should be flipping a coin and then figure out what to play, go right ahead. That sounds like a lot of brain power for like no benefit.
Drisoth the fucking boring type of guy that if we're playing rock paper scissors, he's just gonna fucking flip a coin the whole time. Like he's not actually gonna try and engage with it and have fun. He's like, nah, fuck that shit. I'm flipping coins, bro. Ain't no way.
You will take your 50-50 and you will be happy with it.
Even though I think like people got much better at banning, I think like I was going with most of the bans, even though sometimes I was also questioning that. I think people are still like, yeah, they're not like really just picking maybe deck that they maybe like a little bit more and stuff. And like I guess Karen didn't make just sense, so you don't make the decision. And like that's maybe the thing that there's no pressure on it. You just don't make the decision. Just flip.
IQ first deck on vibes, which is basically the same as a coin flip, you know? It's
Yeah.
just what I'm vibing with. You know, do I want to play this deck? Do I not want to play this deck? Do I feel like I need 2 tries at this deck? Which doesn't make sense. I understand that it doesn't make sense, and that like 2 tries on a deck. Well, actually, it's the same. I don't care. I don't care. It's just vibes. It's just vibes.
I mean, admittedly, like the funniest thing that happened to me in all of competitive LOR this year was getting a DM of like, why did you queue Karma first in the finals of like the World Championship qualifier I won? And it was literally that the coin came up heads and it had come up tails the other 5 games. And this person was like trying to outsmart a coin.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was great.
What I'm hearing is you got lucky.
I did get lucky.
But
okay, what I'm hearing is I need to reverse engineer this. I need to queue Karma first every single time until I make it to the finals, and then okay, I'm in their head now.
Okay, favorite. But rotation, we gonna have rotation on March of 2024. And Akshan is first confirmed card to
Rip
go.
Bozo. Anyways,
he
good fucking
he
riddance.
he went away a year ago. Let's be honest. Like
Yeah.
he left us with Shapestone. You know, it's a thing. He was maybe like
Well,
maybe with like Summer a little bit.
I,
Maybe for
I,
with
I don't
Ferris.
think it's I don't think it's Shapestone as much as it was Absolver.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like I think that Shurima as a whole like really hurt from like Preservarium going away. Like I
Okay.
think this is a long time coming.
Yeah,
Mhm.
as much
That
as
said, oh go ahead.
well, as much as I think it's like reasonable to say like we're gonna rotate Akshan, and I think it was the right choice, and I also think like I understand why they left Akshan in to say like yeah, this build around not super demanding thing. I really don't think Akshan plus Swinging Glaive should be a thing in standard. That is like miserable.
Yeah, I mean it was Auction or Glaive. One had to go.
Yeah.
Maybe Auction and Glaive. Maybe they both go.
It's possible. I think Grave is pretty problematic, to be honest. Like even like with any like future 2 drops. But I guess they went kind of they went like there was like mention that they don't want to do two quick attacks anymore. More like so.
Mhm.
Um,
Is that true? Is that something I said?
I think there was some point, but someone might have made it up. But I think I heard something like that they don't want to do it that much anymore.
Well, I remember when they talked about like just giving like a bunch of characters quick attack and like that was the way that they represented like 80 carries and stuff. And they're like, oh, we could probably do like more interesting ways, but like we want to encourage champions to go into combat, blah blah blah, right? Which is why I imagine you see stuff like Neela with Brash, but like Samira came out this year, so I don't know how realistic they just don't want to make too many tutus is.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
quick attack is a fine way of like encouraging these units to get into combat. So
yeah.
Yeah, but it was kind of like that. Every champion just got quick attack in the past, right? And it was like not exciting. I think for example, like any school way how to like basic have quick attack, but like a different way. Neela is amazing as well. I just like the quick attack just
yeah,
seems pretty lame to me as a keyword
I
in
mean,
the past.
I feel like I would criticize like specific champions that have quick attack and just like don't have a whole lot going on, where it's like Caitlyn, LeBlanc, um, but like I don't know, Master Yi, Samira, Akshan, Diana, those don't feel frustrating to me. It's like these champions that are like you look at them and it's like this is some stats with quick attack. That is what this champion is, really. Um,
Yeah, that was kind of like that was like Draven for a long time and stuff. But yeah, would you think that should go with action, or like what should happen with
I
rotation?
just
Because my big thing is I think like we should rotate of course some Murph cards, but I really hope that they're gonna rotate a lot of things back because I think the format will get just more interesting. We're gonna have more things, as I mentioned for Shrimmer. I think Preservam is something that a lot of the package just missed. I think Talia with Preservam, without Preservam, it's kind of weird, right? And I just would love to see it back, for example. So there's a lot of things that I would just love to see back.
I've
yeah.
been very outspoken about not enjoying standard this year. And I think that a lot of the suggestions that people have for rotation oftentimes is just like, interesting card, interesting card, interesting card. Like anything that isn't like just throwing units at your opponent feels like it has a target on its back. For instance, like for some reason Jace has a target on his back, right?
Mhm.
Karma, I think is like understandable, but like really, Seraphine, Broadmain. I think that any time that like a card becomes meta relevant that isn't just throwing stats at your opponent, it feels like that becomes like the prime target for rotation. Blah blah blah. My hope. I don't have like specific, like this card can't go except for Seraphine. If Seraphine goes, I'm jumping off of a cliff. And
In
I don't
game,
have like
in game, in
specific
game.
cards. Um, I don't have specific cards, but I do hope that like once we come around to like March when rotation hits, we keep in mind that we would like to see multiple ways to play the video game, and like that we aren't just like removing everything that does a remotely interesting thing in the game, because those are apparently the only things that can be problematic. Stats can never be problematic except that's
Yeah,
why we have Jack Soren for 7 fucking months in a row. I just hope that we have an interesting way to play the game come March.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't want to go through like fucking the purgatory that we've been in for half this year.
I mean, I do think the like Jaxoran situation is egregious, where like that deck has needed a nerf for like 5 months. And like, yeah, Freljord's pretty fucking busted. It, I don't know what to tell you. Um, I also do think like Karma's fucking dead. There's no chance that champion makes it through rotation. I think
Yeah, I
Seraphine's
think
unlikely to make it through rotation, but I also think like we need like something there. Um, And we like can't seem to make like a spell slinging payoff that isn't just like the most unbelievably busted thing you've ever seen in your life if it pops off. I like I don't
And to
know,
be clear,
man.
I think a lot of people are like, well, how would you feel if we rotate Seraphine, but they made a new champion that fills the same slot? I don't want something like that because I feel like the
Yeah.
issue is that every single meta we have like one spell slinging deck, right? Or like one deck that that can play the game that isn't just throwing stats at your opponent. And the issue is that every single time that one of those decks comes up, it gets fucking shot. And I would like to build up like a repertoire of decks that we can actually play that aren't just mid range because mid range has like 10 different decks. And even if we hit Jack's Horn, we're still going to be in a mid range meta most likely because there's other mid range decks and they never get like shot in the head. But like, I don't think that like trading one for one is like fixing the environment. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people like look at it as like, well, I just want to get rid of this one deck. And it's like, yeah, that's the only fucking deck that we can play right now. Like, I don't care about Karma. I don't want Karma to stick around. I fucking hate Karma. I think Seraphine is much better designed than Karma. But I still feel like I have to be out here defending Karma because, dear God, there are not that many ways to play the fucking video game. And
Yeah,
like,
people
once you
hate
hit
combo.
Karma, like, what am I left with?
Yeah,
Yeah.
people hate combo, and they just don't think that like it's just a lot of people just hate combo. They don't like if it's just once again the thingy that they're winning against it. It seems like they're winning, but they actually not, and that's something that I think like then that they lose to the broken card. It was Ezreal, it's Seraphine, it's Karma, right? That's the thingy. But you realistically they lost like to Cycle Taper, they lost to like Set, they lost to something else, right? And that's something that it just was a thing. It was a team a lot. In this year we talked about it multiple times, and I do agree with you. I'm not the biggest Spellslinger player, but I do think that these cards should stay in. I think Karma maybe should go, by the way, but I think we should get maybe also new maybe cards Spellslinger. I think Spellslinger archetypes should get some help as well. I
I
do
mean,
agree with them that if they are busted, they are really unpleasant to play against. I do agree with you, Drisoth, on that, but I think we should just have them.
I just find it like I don't believe that spell slinging payoffs like have to be that busted when they pop off to be good. But like it seems like all we do is we either have a spell slinging payoff that is just like turbo broken when it's popping off. Where like Seraphine 2 just isn't a beatable card. Karma 2 is not a beatable card. Nami 2 was not a beatable card. And like
And Seraphine 2's definitely beatable, but
I don't
if it
really
wasn't beatable, then like we'd be playing fucking Vandal in standard, right? We're not playing Vandals, Seraphine standard because they flip it on turn 6 and do nothing. Come on.
it's more beatable than the other ones. I still don't really feel like that card is beatable. And like I wish we had a spell slinging payoff that was like more moderate, but like I don't know what happened in Nami. It seems to be like all that occurs where it's like unreasonably
Okay, but like,
broken.
was Nami moderate? Like, was she
No,
plus
but
2
like
plus 1?
Nami needed to be nerfed, and they shoot her in the head. And it's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
like this champion just doesn't exist anymore. And it's like,
Mhm.
surely a middle ground exists, right? Surely something.
Yeah, I think that Nami by the way should be with action should be another card that rotate. So we
I
can buff
don't know
it.
why she was ever in standard.
Yeah, good
But
point. Like, yeah, but
Well,
maybe make
because
her
they
into that,
rotated
right?
450 fucking cards, and like they can't rotate everything. It feels like their intention was to rotate everything, but like they have to leave us like some amount of cards to play with. I think that's the other thing is like there's obviously no way that we can like support another 450 card rotation.
Yeah.
How many cards did we
I
get
think
this year?
we should
Did we
get
get
more
like
cards back, like than rotate. I believe that. I think we should get more cards back than we rotate currently. I think we should rotate maybe some problematic things. I said action, maybe Name, the things that are just not good and standard. But I think we should get a lot of things back.
Yeah, I don't. I would definitely like to see cards come back. Again, at the end of the day, I just want the game to be fun and interesting. And I feel like sometimes we end up in worlds where like the decks are very samey, and I don't like enjoy that a ton. Yeah.
I agree with that.
I mean, standard. I do think standard has had like serious problems with being stale, where like stuff doesn't really change. It's like very centered around like very few things, and the decks are like incredibly agnostic towards a lot of their cards. Where like I think
All right,
elusives.
I have to yell at chat just for just
Okay.
a second. You want to rotate 12 to 18 champions? How many champions do we get this year? 12? I think that we don't get enough new cards to support rotating massive amounts of cards.
Yeah.
I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that
Yeah.
that's like viable. If you're like post Samira nerf, like we had like fucking nothing to play in standard. I do not think that we receive enough cards to be rotating like fucking 12 to 18 champions again. Right?
I mean,
Also we got like Heart of Hunters, right? As be honest, like that was also like expansion. Also, I think big reason of standard being kind of bad this year was like Heart of Hunters like basic no impact. Like Nico, sure, it showed the rewards. It was 3 decks still.
We got like variety cards, right? Like the
Yeah.
variety set cards during Heart of the Huntress were meta relevant and did like change things, but yeah, the champions didn't hit.
I mean, this one of the big things that like I feel like standard champions have this problem of like is decks are playing standard champions because they're slightly above rate and basically don't care about their text. Where like Teemo and Elusives is probably like the clearest example of this. Diana sees play simply because like she is a passable card. Um, you saw this with like Samira decks where like people were just playing Samira as a 2/2 challenger for 2 because like what the hell else are you gonna play?
Caitlyn was also big.
Caitlyn, I mean Misfortune in decks that like could never fucking level her. Sure, Scouts did, but like Standard just has this endless list of like decks that play a champion because it's in their regions and it's above rate. And like
Even Scouts gave up on MF. I don't think Scouts are currently like ever MF deck. They're once again CS deck, right? That was also I guess Dema's issue, but Scouts just became like Scouts didn't level MF since CS, I think, usually. Like sometimes she leveled by accident, but not really.
I mean, I just feel like Standard already has a problem of like just depressing options for champions.
Gnar is also a good showcase of like just play good champion, right?
Yeah.
You don't care.
Gnar gets thrown into like every fucking deck that he can just because like he's a champion and he makes a Pokestick. Does he have like particular synergy? No, but he's the best that we have in Freljord. Okay.
Chana also just in some decks, right? Just put it can fix my hand. I don't care about her. It's just like it's just a good card.
I mean, you see, like it was mostly when like Warden, but you'd see like Renekton with almost no vulnerable cards, and it's just like 4/4 overwhelm with some subtypes.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
I think
I very much would like to see I think that a 450 card rotation was like too much to begin with. And I think that we were left with like not enough relevant cards. And if we see like another big rotation, like even if the rotation like matches the amount of cards we got this year, I don't think that's great, especially because like the cards that we get are they're sprinkled out throughout the year, right? So if you're a big Targon fan, you got Cosmic Call halfway through the year in a variety set, and then you got Morgana. And like if they come through and they rotate like, fucking half of Targon, and it's like, okay, wait another fucking year, Bucko. Like I don't think that it's not equitable in like the way that we get new cards versus the way they get rotated out. Like I just don't think that this is like a sustainable system.
I just do believe we should rotate most cards back because I think like we rotated too many cards for no reason. I think a lot of cards were problematic. Of course we rotated a lot of also users cards. That's also a thing that we like that like does cards. Okay, you rotated this. Oh no, I never played it no matter what. So yeah, that was the thingy.
I mean, there's like a decent number of champions that like just let people play them because like they're not doing anything in Eternal. I mean, the one that like really comes to mind is Braum, where like why not have this guy in Standard? Like, what is he gonna do?
I don't know.
Yeah,
The best meta this year was right after rotation. To be very clear, the best meta this year was right after rotation. It was because Samira came out, and Set came out, and Coins came out. It was all because of the new cards. It wasn't because of like what was left. It wasn't because rotation was like so fucking great. It wasn't because rotation saved the fucking game. It's because we got Samira and Set and Coins, and that was fun to play.
Samira created 5 decks, right? I think that's also why current meta is fun because Dragon created once again 5 new decks, right? That's also thinking.
Yeah.
That's why it's so fun currently. But again, like if they then nerf Dragon, I'm telling you, we coming back to Jackson. Like I'm telling you that, like it's gonna be Jackson. It's gonna be the meta that we know. Like there's nothing else.
I do think like I do think they effectively rotated too many cards. I don't think the like number was the problem, but I do think there's like issues of like every card with Nightfall.
Yeah, so like they rotated 450 cards, and there's another 150 that are unplayable, right? And then there's also another 150 that were never playable. So actually, we have like 500, 600 cards in the entire pool to play with. Like that's it.
I mean, Nightfall is like a good example of this because it's like Herald of Celestial Convergence. Maybe you could play it in Daybreak, Eclipse Dragon, maybe you play in something else, but like Moondreamer, Cygnus, Cloven Way, Duskrider, Moonlit Glenkeeper, maybe in ephemerals, but like Lunari Priestess, Crescent Guardian, Evershade Stalker, Heavens Aligned, Nocturne, maybe Diana somewhere. Like those cards just aren't playable because you rotated Doom Beast and Unto Dusk. So like, can't play them. And it's like
Yeah.
wonderful. Like,
I don't know, Talia, right? Talia is only playable with Taurus, right? There's nothing else because you don't have Preservarium.
yeah,
Malphite is also not playable because you don't have Preservarium, right? You don't have the cards that you need for that type of deck. So
yeah, there's just
um,
tons of cards that got pseudo rotated along with actual rotation. Like, what am I supposed to be doing with Callista? Like, I guess I can play her with Mordekaiser, but like, I don't have
Callista
any of
got
the
brought to
aggro
Worlds,
package.
you know?
Yeah,
Callista's
nice, and it went
broken.
111, 111 and it went.
Yeah.
Yeah, Callisto is, yeah, we rotated everything. We don't have Butcher, we don't have like these things, so like it's once again weird. And there's many more cards. I guess we don't see them. Also, then like overnerf cards, right? I don't know. Nami is not playable. Swain also got just shot because of the also got unnerved. There's also Kaiser is unplayable. What is Kaiser doing? What is Kaiser supposed to do? She doesn't have quick attack. She cannot attack. Like we just also like killed a lot of cards during the process of like them being good, right? And that's also thinking that then we get even less champions because of that.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I still kind of feel like rotation was eventually necessary, but I do not think it went great. So,
Maybe necessary, but again, like, do you remember that poll that I put out a year ago where it's like, how many cards do you think will get rotated? And like fucking 50% of the community was like, probably less than 100. And then the next percentage, like, maybe like 100 to like 250, maybe. Like, I think like 80% of the community was going to be blindsided by 400 plus cards.
yeah,
I think that there was a massive rotation of a lot of cards. I think that it like homogenized a lot of things in standard. And I think that like it was only helped or that was only hurt also by like just the way that they've gone about like balancing standard, where it feels like anything that steps up that's not just mid range is viewed as problematic. It feels like everything that could be problematic was rotated. Anything that was left behind that like maybe could be problematic got fucking shot the moment that it popped up.
Yeah, Wildfire. I don't know, Wildfire, for example, right? Like just killing it instantly after 1 month.
Wildfire. Oh my god.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think like so. Some of the nerfs, like the Kaisa one, definitely just like
It was deserved.
deleted that card.
But like, yeah.
level 2. Okay, Raritors, please give level 2 quick attack. Level 2. Level 1.
No,
sure,
we're flipping her on turn
level,
3. Quick
level
fucking
2 quick attack. Level 2 quick attack.
fuck
Please.
no! Don't give her quick attack.
Give her a quick attack. Level 2.
I do think work needs to be done. Like, if this is what standard is going to be like in terms of size, like work needs to be done on like these champions that are just bleh, where it's like Ari doesn't really exist. We probably should, if she's going to be in standard, you probably need to buff her.
Maybe bring her Homecoming. I don't know. Maybe bring her Homecoming. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like you can do stuff, but like if you're going to put Ari in standard, she needs to be a reasonable choice. If you're going to have like a Azir in standard, he needs to be a reasonable choice. We can't.
This size is fine. I think the size is fine if all champions are at least decent, but that's not the case.
I mean, like, did we have Conservatory in standard anytime this year?
No.
Okay.
I mean, like it exists, but without like Blade's Edge or Flock, like you don't have pings. You don't have Death's Hand either. You literally just don't have pings and Noxus.
We played like PNC. We played like with PNC with the problem, but usually it was like Shu coping on it or something like that, and the deck was pretty bad.
It hasn't been meta. Like the closest it was to meta relevance was like when it was the 15th best Janna deck.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, and even stuff like Annie. Then, like, I wanted to make sure about Conservatory, but like, I don't think Annie is in the best situation where, like, in standard, she has one deck, and it is Annie Jin. And, like, that's all you get. You can play Annie Jin.
What do you mean?
Nothing.
She gets played in the Annie Riven Dune Swallower deck. That's
so true. So true. Also, Wildfire, I guess. But, like,
Wildfire, she activated Flow.
I don't even think that's great. And, like, I don't know. Kennen is probably the saddest standard champion, where this guy got fired for Otterpuss. Jinx sacked this dude and took his job away.
To be clear, people should not have been playing Otterpuss in that deck. Like,
I agree,
Cannon
but
pushes so much damage because he's a 2-1 with quick attack.
Yeah, it's like I guess Lucian is another one, right? From the randoms, if we go like on the thing. Like Lucian, what is this purpose? Like what? Like also, once again, Shadow's package of self kill got most rotated
am
because
I
of
hearing
Mordekaiser.
am I hearing you ask for a Siren Song Revert?
No, I was just saying rotate him. I bring something back for him. Like he's not gonna be relevant until that happens, right? Like,
Okay,
yeah.
I lied by the way. I do have cards that want rotated. I
Siren
think that
Song?
the entire Husk package should absolutely be rotated, and Rise should be rotated. Dear God in heaven, please, Rioters, if you're listening, rotate every single card that says Husk on it, and then please rotate Rise.
I do find it hilarious that like Rise is like might be the most egregious card in LOR in terms of like, oh, this is dumb as fuck. Um, however, like he just doesn't do anything in standard because he doesn't have Entreat, he doesn't have Steel Tempest, and he doesn't have Homecoming. So
He's a
Rise,
ticking time bomb.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want this fucker sticking around waiting. I hate this man so
One more
much.
card to add, Fizz sorry, Yume. Just kill Yume. Like we don't want it in standard anymore. Like I think Yume just, especially because like we cannot took approach of like getting rid of attach. I think like, Yume should go as well.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if it'll end up doing anything spooky, but I do not think Deathless Yumi should be a thing in standard. It seems like it's probably going to be fucked up at some point.
Yeah. It's just like it's just a card that I think like a lot of people like, for example, asking for like face. I think face is fine, especially like if Yume gonna go.
I think
I do
Fizz,
think that. Oh, go ahead.
I think Fizz probably needs to be tinkered with, where like level 1 doesn't have unlimited denies. I think you should have to like reasonably level Fizz to get unlimited denies.
Maybe. I think the really problematic Fizz shit is like specifically with Yumi. I think that like having him grow every single turn, so like you can't just like sit there. He just like keeps getting bigger and keeps becoming harder and harder and harder to interact with. I think that's like kind of an issue. I think that Yumi has had like long-standing issues within the standard meta of enabling these types of strategies like elusives that Riot doesn't particularly want. But they're gonna give Omen Hawk can't block instead of just hitting Yumi. But yeah, no, I think Yumi definitely needs to get hit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think you just rotate. I like, of course you can nerf it maybe, but I think rotating is making sense, especially because like it seems that attach should not like it's just we want we want weapons more than attach currently in the game.
I mean, I don't know. At the time they were dealing with like old format, like pre-rotation format, it wasn't as big of a deal when you had these like pre-baked archetypes of like Deep with Maokai or like Darkness with Vagar and Senna. But I think they're really like chewing through some of the champion real estate in rotation format, where it's like, if you look at Bilgewater is like probably the saddest one, where it's like Pike
It
goes
got the
with
champions.
Rek'Sai, Nautilus goes with Maokai, and you're just like,
Yeah.
there goes 2 of my champions.
I still have Alawi. Alawi's broken. I
true,
promise
like,
you Alawi's
So,
broken.
No.
The issue is that Freljord is so fucking pushed that like you can't play Alawi.
This is secretly a Runeterran champion, where you get to play
True.
Alawi region.
You play tentacles. Like that's the thingy. Like it's funny though to see BaJAtak being still probably the worst region, even though it got 2 new champions right this year. It's awesome.
I mean, I also think like Runeterran champions hurt with that, where it's like these champions just chew into real estate that would be used by normal regions, and it's like something that's like Targon just absolute dog shit because like where are my champions? I guess I'll just go to Runeterra for them.
And Targon's champion.
Targon's
Targon's champion is Morgana.
Yeah.
Morgana is like the Targon champion now. One thing I do want to say that was really funny is after playing so much in early access, the fact that when we hit live, I watched so many people build so many bad Targon Morgana decks, and the whole time I just want to tweet out, guys, she's so much better in Demacia. Play her in Demacia. She has 2 reaches. Quit it. But I was like, no, I can't. I can't say it. I can't say it.
I guess something also again in quotation that I think should get rotated, and I think we're gonna agree on it is champion strength and completely making the massa golden ages again. I think that's the way how should the massa go.
Can we speaking of like golden ages, can we like trade deal auction for silver?
I think that's gonna happen. By the way,
It'll probably happen.
I think that's very likely happening because we also
To be fair,
did we
Sivir
get
without
Mordekaiser?
Absolver is gonna have like a similar issue with like ending the game. But
You're
I mean,
absolutely
she's definitely like still doing things without Absolver,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, particularly with like weapon masters now, you can get access to
Oh,
overwhelm.
fuck off. Oh, okay, we need to rotate every single fucking weapon master. Oh, please rotate every weapon master. Oh, fuck, I forgot.
With Ferret, right? Oh, Silver Ferret. Ooh, okay, that sounds good.
Oh no. Okay, we have to nerf fucking Sky Splitter too. Oh fuck, Riot. Please.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
don't know. I wish AR had a filter for like eternal only. But
Mhm.
I mean, Zillion does not really feel like he does much of anything. I don't care. We can take or leave Zillion.
Yeah, it was like problematic because of the time of and stuff. But
Yeah, I
They
mean,
said there's a lot of like testing and shit they had to do, like bug fixing with him, and also there was like implications of releasing new cards with like time bombs being existing in the game. But yeah.
yeah. But something also definitely worth mentioning is that we got confirmed that we're gonna get addition of 2 of one of the champions that is already in
Oh yeah, a
the form.
2.0, which that will be interesting. A 2.0 champion. We are talking a little bit on stream when they announced it. It seems unlikely that it would be a champion from Piltover and Zon or Ionia. As
yeah.
much as people, would say Ezreal is like a prime target, there's like 30 PNZ champions in like the Riot universe that we would like to see before, we want to see like, any reworks.
Yeah.
That said, I think that there's definitely, some prime candidates for champions in perhaps underrepresented regions, where there aren't like a ton of like new cards to pull in. We're having a 2.0 to like better reach their ideal position or whatever, like their ideal fantasy. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's Targon and Bridgewater is the biggest discussion about because we have really nothing left basically.
Yeah,
In
I
these 2
mean,
regions.
one of the things that like Bilgewater champions like comes to mind is like Bilgewater has this like problem with parasitic champions of like Tom Kench, Pike, Nautilus, where like they're just tied to another champion. And I think people could realize why like Nyla and Jack, like Bilgewater got 2 champions this year. And it's because like we got this problem with champions.
Also, at
So
some point, Bilgewater like fell behind a champion from every other region. I
yeah.
don't know when it happened, but apparently they fell back behind
Yeah,
it.
they probably.
Yeah,
I
and
think
also we
Bundleston
need
is
to
now
like delay
back now.
releasing Graves forever. Like we just can't release
Yeah.
that card.
Because
The
we
homophobia is
we hate Aikado as well. Yeah. But
yeah.
yeah.
Maybe there's like a Twisted Fate 2.0 that can come into standard. Maybe there's like a Fizz 2.0. Maybe they really have been cooking and they have a fully realized Nautilus that's not in deep. I make Nautilus
How,
cool again.
how about an Alawi 2.0 now with more tentacles?
Oh god, I think Pike would actually be like a people fucking love Pike. Like just as a character, people love Pike. Maybe there's like
Yeah.
a cool way to do Pike that's not tied to one of the most fun mechanics in the entire game.
I think
Okay,
it's very hard though, to be honest.
as
But
much as
also,
I hate Lurk, I do have to say like clearly the Lurk design slaps because so many people are like Lurk players.
yeah.
Like unironically, they're just like personalities playing Lurk.
I think Lurk was a big accomplishment by the way, because like so many people enjoy it. I think I also like
Okay,
I don't think
I
by the way,
do
like it's that
people
much played anymore. It's like Gwen Z currently, I think the like most played like between these players, I think they changed.
Do people actually enjoy playing Lurk? I guess that's my question. What do they
Yes.
like
Yeah,
about
they
Lurk?
do.
No, no,
They
I agree that it always has a high play rate. I agree, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I've talked with like maybe like 2 people in my life that have enjoyed playing Lurk. That these people aren't the types of people that I see like engage with the community actively. It's not like there's like a oh my god Rek'Sai ooh woo on Reddit every day, right? Even though it is consistently one of the highest play rate decks. Um,
Mhm.
I wonder what it is about Lurk that people really enjoy.
I
It's just
I
turn
don't
off
know,
brain.
but
Turn off brain and just play, man. Just play cards on curve and just win. Also, I think like it's very like there's like a lot of dopamine if you hit Rek'Sai, if you hit Pike with that prediction. I think that's also a thing. And in the end, a lot of people are zoomers, right? And they like the fast dopamine as well. But hey, even though you're saying that Ionis maybe not likely, and I do agree with you with the amount of champions, there was some discussion about like Yasuo maybe too, because in the end, the Yasuo is probably the most favorite champion in a league. Like let's be honest, like Yasuo is the most main champion on there, so maybe that might be thinking. Also, I think Rara is maybe also maybe one of the cards that was maybe also discussed about because Rara in the end never can go back into standard because of Azir, right? And maybe like different approach on her might be also an option. Um,
Maybe. I think my main issue is there's like a lot of
yeah,
other
yeah,
like really big, as big as Yasuo and Irelia are, and they are massive within like the league IP. So is Akali, so is Yoda, right?
yeah.
Like, yeah.
I
But
guess in
I
the
hear
end,
you. I
this might
hear
be
you.
just Yone for the Yasuo because in the end, like Yasuo means also like Yone. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They're the same character. Let's be
yeah,
honest.
I do think they should take the opportunity to use it in like more difficult to give um, champions to regions and like
I think maybe cannot dump like for example like if you're waiting for some champion like for your main, like it's still not showing up and we're already gonna get like second version of some. It might be a little bit like a dump. So we don't know how it's gonna actually work. If it's gonna be that you can able in Eternal to play the because I assume the other version is gonna be in Eternal. We don't know if we're gonna be able to play both of them in the same deck, for example. That we
I
cannot test.
assume you
So
could, yeah.
in MTG, you can put like planeswalkers of like the same character in, right?
You can have them both in play. Like
Yeah, yeah. So
not
I
even in
assume
the
like
same deck.
if we got like I don't know old man Ezreal, so his progression is that he got old. You can have like both Ezreals like in your deck at the same time. I would assume
Mhm.
that's how it would work.
Also, maybe is it by the way possible? What champions don't have skin? Because I would assume that it might be on champion that doesn't have skin. By the way, because if we cannot dump,
Mhm.
to do it on somebody that has already skin. That's it. That's it. That's it. Just theory that just came into my
Oh
mind, right?
shit! I don't think that Riot has ever made an LR decision based off of making money, but that would be that would be it.
I think this is like more about like imagine you have skin on Azure. Azure doesn't have skin, right? Or does he?
Azir does.
Oh,
He has a very
oh, he
cool
has the
skin.
academy, right? But imagine that you have the
Oh,
academy skin, right?
face it.
Imagine that you have the academy skin, and then you get now new Azure, and you cannot use it, right? That's kind of dumb for you, isn't it?
I it's a different
Option
character.
has one.
Like,
I don't know.
yeah,
I hear you. I hear you. Speaking of Lurk, as we were speaking of Lurk, and being how skillful it is, what's our take on the decks are skillful? Actually, no deck is skillful. Actually, every single deck is the exact same skill level. What's our take on that?
I am an enlightened centrist and have the take of most decks are pretty hard, but some decks are harder.
yeah, I do
Uh,
agree with you. Most of the decks
wait,
are
let
hard.
me
I
let me
think
link the let me link
people
the
don't know how to mulligan. In the end, I think most of people sucks on even easy decks because people have no clue how to mulligan. I think that's the biggest issue that I think a lot of people should work on. I think I see very often misplays in a mulligan.
Yeah,
But overall, I do think that some decks, of course, are harder. Let's be honest, at least I'm not that hard as Seraphine decks. I think, like, especially on these control decks, especially like Karma decks, Seraphine decks, if you do one mistake, you're gonna lose the game because of it. On elites, yeah, mistakes are gonna suck, but not that much.
to be clear of the context. I don't know. My viewpoint is like there are definitely decks that I feel like get the overwhelming majority of their like difficulty from engaging with LOR, where it's like mulliganing is hard, combat is hard, prioritizing resources is hard. And like
Passing is it.
I think elites has difficulty from those sources. The deck of elites does not provide much difficulty, but LOR is a hard game and elites exists in LOR. Other decks are harder, but I think if you play elites and you try and play it well, there is enough to chew on there. So
I think it's pretty obvious though that there is that there is like a difference in terms of like time that you have to put in to a deck to like be good at it, or the amount of decisions you have to make, or how forgiving a deck is, right? Like you make like one mistake and you just fucking lose like every time and you can't make any mistakes. But like I think it's pretty obvious. For how many years did we tell people they're starting out the game, oh yeah, just go play spiders, just go play spiders to masters, and like part of that's because they give you a lease for free, but like also because spider's really fucking easy and you just like jam units and you don't have to know what your opponent's doing. You don't have to engage with it to like reach masters and to climb in it, right? Like I agree that there's a lot of nuance. I'm not gonna say that all aggro is, fucking easy. And I'm not gonna sit here and say that there aren't like good aggro players and bad aggro players. But I do think that there is a difference in like skill, like floors, like of like the base
yeah,
level floor of a deck. And I think that that does matter. And I think that that can be relevant. And I think that like pretending that, Lurk requires as much decision making as some other decks, I think is like
yeah.
maybe.
I
Depends
do.
also on aggro deck, by the way. Like I don't agree with like the discussion like every aggro deck is like easier, but I think some aggro decks are very complex, especially the knowledge when you should go into burn, when you should still try to fight for burn and stuff. It's like it's very complex.
100%. One of the most skill testing decks that we've had was fucking discard aggro in 2021, right? Like this was a deck that you were constantly making decisions. The amount of games that you like shaped from your mulligan, knowing when to use your resources, how to like particularly play out every single thing so you could push as much damage as possible, and knowing what like aggro decks can be complex and can be skillful, which is why like I agree with the original Mo tweet, which is like just because your deck runs expensive cards or has more interaction doesn't mean that it's more skillful than aggro deck. Like of course they're absolutely very skill intensive aggro decks.
Yeah. I definitely think there is kind of an issue with this conversation that keeps coming up of like people sometimes they're talking about skill floors and sometimes they're talking about skill ceilings. And like just across the board, like decks that people call easy, they have low skill floors. Because like, yeah, elites, if you just play cards on curve, you will win a shocking number of games. And that's entirely talking about the skill floor. I do think when people are talking about like difficult decks and what decks are hard to play, they're kind of inherently talking about the skill ceiling, not the floor. And like spiders is really easy to get a passable win rate on. I think the complexity lays in like getting all of the win rate, but
Yeah, and because like you said, like LOR is not like a supremely easy game, right? Like there's a lot of nuance that goes back and forth, and in terms of passing, in terms of playing around, what your opponent's able to do, in terms of having the knowledge of what your opponent's win condition is, of what your win condition is, of
Mission
the
knowledge, yeah.
specific matchups. Like there's so much depth of knowledge required to play LOR at the highest level. But a lot of decks can just bypass that and be like, I don't give a shit what my opponent's doing. I'm just gonna jam my cards and close my eyes. And then mauled on Reddit when my opponent was able to answer my units on turn 5. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it definitely comes up, and I don't know. It's always weird because like I feel like both discussions are worth having. Like which decks have the highest skill ceiling and which decks have like a high skill floor. Because like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that elites or spiders is hard to play passively. Um, that's like an unreasonable take, to be honest. But
Yeah, and I think that's like when people are talking about like skillful or not skillful decks. Again, like to play any deck at the highest level is going to require like some amount of engagement with the Legend of Runeterra game, and the Legend of Runeterra game is very difficult, and there's a lot of nuance. Just some decks are able to bypass that more, and some decks have like a higher, like just base power level if you just close your eyes and jam your cards, and oftentimes that's going to benefit people who maybe engage with the game Legend of Runeterra less and aren't as good at it.
yeah, there is a side problem of some people being like, my deck is hard because it's hard to win with, and that is not. Those are not the same thing. Your deck is bad. That is why it's hard to
No.
win with.
My 10% win rate deck, bro, this is the hardest deck in the entire game. I bet if you played it, you wouldn't be able to win a game on it.
So
It's so
true.
complex, man. It's so complex. It's only winning in 50% cases because it's so hard. I misplay. No, your deck fucking sucks. Like it's not.
To be clear, like a lot of control players do like to, jerk themselves off. It's like, oh my god, it's so hard to play my cards to pass, ramp, ravine. Oh my god, like to be clear, I think that a lot of control players like to think that they're a little bit smarter than they really are. They play FTR and they feel real good about themselves when it's
Another
just like,
favorite card. I love
homie, you didn't do anything.
how you mentioned to ramp. That's fair to Irving and FTR. Thank you
This
again.
man hates Freljord.
Nah, I
Is there
love
like
Freljord.
one good card?
I love Freljord.
Do you?
But yeah,
It's
I
on my
do
list.
think though, like the oversimplification of like actually every deck is really hard and every deck is really skillful and there's no distinction at all unless you want to stroke your ego. I feel like that's I don't know, trying to protect people's egos. It feels like I don't know. I do think that there is a difference. One of the big things for me back in 2021, I hit Masters, like within like 2 weeks of playing the game with like TFs, right? And then I hit Masters after that with like discard aggro. And I hit Masters with like spiders. And like I was playing like all these aggro decks. And the big thing for me was like later on in that year when I hit Masters for the first time by playing like what I considered a real deck. I'm like, oh shit, I'm playing Draven Ezreal. After like actually, engage with the mechanics of the game and actually like play with priority and actually try and, engage with what my opponent's doing. And that felt like a big milestone marker for me was like when I hit Masters with like a real deck, instead of just jamming aggro. And I think I think that when we just say that every deck's actually the exact same skill level, I think that that's like kind of just
Also,
not
like
true.
every deck tests like different skill set, I think as well. Like as like Azure Daven or the Kotel is gonna usually test more about the skill pass, right? Because open passing the thing, knowing when to pass, knowing when you're able to pass to show up and stuff. And that's a very big skillful thing. How good you can be with spells, right? And then like it's more skillful like about like things, counting the damage, thinking about what's gonna happen in I don't know 5 turns. That am I able to kill this with this summit, or like should I play this unit, and like how should I approach the matchup and stuff. Like that's also a big thing that it's just testing different skill set.
Yeah, it's certainly not the same. There are certainly decks that are harder than others, but I don't know. I do think this discussion typically ends up in not particularly helpful places. But you did mention TF so I now have a free pass to bring that up. I thought that deck was pretty hard, but I don't know. There's a lot of
Yeah, is that right? Was
Eh.
TF pretty hard?
It had a lot of non-games. It was like pick a card,
I mean,
blue card.
that one had the reverse problem where like the deck was fucking busted. So if you were like a trained baboon, you could probably win with it.
Yeah.
Bro, I still have the spreadsheet where I tracked every single game that I played of that deck because I was like, I'm gonna improve. And I look back, I'm like, damn, I won a lot of fucking games with this deck. This deck was a little broken.
That deck was, I mean, I don't know. There was like conversation. I think it was Cup at some point. Someone basically was like talking about like, is this the worst patch we'd ever seen? No, it was Cup replied to Boulevard talking about how this is the worst patch we've ever seen because Jax Orn caught a stray buff with Glacial Saurian. And it's like, nothing is going to be worse than printing Siren Song for an already tier 1 deck. Like, you gave a tier 1 deck stress testing. You fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, TF was like, obviously a very, very, very strong deck. Yeah, I see. I know because again, like I played the game when I was, I started the game when I was very bad, and I hit Masters like fucking instantly with it. And I'm like, oh, this deck's really good. I remember actually being really upset because I played this deck and I hit Master. And I'm like, damn, this deck's really fun. I love this deck. And I go on Twitch and I watch Mo on Twitch because he was one of the biggest streamers. And I'm watching Mo, and Mo spends the entire time bitching and complaining about TFs and TFs players and all of this and that. And I'm like, wait, bro, I like TFs. Come on, man.
Poor Aikado, man. Started a bit more from the start.
I know it was doomed from the fucking start, dude. It was
Yeah.
doomed from the start.
There was a lot of streamers that mauled it about that deck.
I was just streaming at least, it was a good thing. But
Near and dear to some of us.
I guess
Yeah, to be clear, the deck was very fun. We got some feeling of that. I think with TF Nila, if you played in this last Eternal. I don't know if you enjoyed that deck, Drisoth. Did you try it?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty fun. It definitely felt like TF is. It wasn't like power level. I mean,
oh, it wasn't.
I don't know if we're ever gonna have anything. If Riot does their job like passably, we're not gonna have anything close to that because like that was the only deck I think we've ever had that was truly bring and ban. There was not a lineup that should not have included TFIz, and there was not a lineup that should not have banned it.
I think TF Nila was close if you had Nila into Vikash into TF into Rakumash with like the Slipstream. And like you could have like level TF on 5
Yeah.
and like it was like close, but still was of course like it was very inconsistent as well. Like it wasn't
Well,
that good.
the other problem with that is like you have this like specific draw that emulates TFIz. The problem with TFIz is like you would like kind of be winning. You would like answer a TF, you'd like prevent them from beating your ass with Fizz, and they would just like shit out 15 power of Burblefish and kill you. And it's like,
Yeah.
you just get robbed. Like,
I think,
always.
to be clear, like when we're talking about power level, like I think the decks nowadays like could beat TFIz,
Yes,
of course.
definitely.
But like for the time, right? Like for the
Yeah.
time, it was just like fucking absurd how strong TFIz was.
Even though I enjoyed TF after this, even though TF phase was like cool, I enjoyed TF after this more in that meta to win us myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one was like competitive with it, but you still run into this issue of like in tournaments you should literally have never played TF.
Yeah, it was TF phase. It was TF phase and Aphelios Tamkench, right?
Yeah.
Or Aphelios something.
Bilge water for
also
no
weak,
champion.
weak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to. I pulled up my my spreadsheet from back then. I even back in the day, I was still out here hitting 92 games, 76% win rate with TFIz, man. I was dog shit at this game. God damn.
Yeah, I haven't that much played by the way TFS myself. By the way, I didn't play that much at the time. I think when I played, it was usually
What a
Aphelios,
mistake.
I don't know. And if I can Burblefish painting behind it, you know, like.
I mean, I got 900 LP in 9 hours. That was one day.
Oh, Simon lost that amount of LP in 5 hours. That's a better achievement, you know. I said. But by the way, Burblefish also. I wanted to talk about it, but then I forgot about it. Burblefish in Bundle City is kind of funny. You have only one bad hit, and with the mushroom card, even though it's not bad, it's a matchup. in some sunken type of matchups, it's kind of good to like shuffle the buff caps because
it's pretty good into that. I queued into fucking a Maokai player. I don't know if you guys saw any Maokai players at Worlds. By you guys, I mean Drisoth. But I ran into a Maokai player, and bro, I fucking the moment that my Burblefish made a bursting backpack, I was like, oh shit, we're fucking gaming now.
Dude, the Bloodbait tech comes back in different stuff. Anyways, anybody have any delusions that Burblefish is staying in standard? Because I feel like that card
I hope so. I like Burblefish a lot, bro. I like Burblefish, but it's likely the whole Nami package gets rotated. I like the Nami package. I like Shelly. I like Burble. I like Nami. I would like those cards to stick around.
I'm gonna be I think because of this, I don't think maybe Burblefish was on the list, but I think because of this season, Burblefish is gone.
I mean,
I don't. Okay. Like, was Burblefish in Bandle Elder Dragon like really fucking strong? Of course. Was it like insanely broken? Fuck no. This card wasn't, again, very good, but like it wasn't that insane. It wasn't that insane.
It's not that, yeah, but it's good.
This deck is like a 51% win rate. Like,
Really
again, we took a snapshot of a very specific meta, and I feel like we're gonna like blow out of proportion like how relevant this meta was. Nettie's dropping, man.
What I want is I want Burblefish to retire on top. This card is the GOAT of competitive LR. This card has been nerfed so many goddamn times and is still doing work.
I think they should give it a tune back.
It's been nerfed 3 times. Lost power, lost health.
6 mana 3/1. It was 6 mana 3/1, then it was 6 mana 2/1, then it was now it's 8 mana 2/1.
Oh my god.
And Burble's one of those cards that got nerfed because of did it get nerfed because of Momentous? Or did it get nerfed because of Samira?
It got nerfed because of Samira. Momentous wasn't going on then.
Oh, good.
Because I remember Nami Lee playing it, and I remember that shit being broken. I just wasn't sure if this was like one of the casualties of Momentous choice being printed. Tune. The rumor is, and I think it's very obvious. Have you looked at this card? I think that 1,000,000,000% in testing, this card had a tune.
That's not a rumor.
I would put. Is it confirmed?
There's a quote from Ruben about this.
Pace.
It
I
had
put down $1 million. Look at this card. This card had a tune. I guarantee you this
it
card
was
had a
a
tune.
3-2. It was a
No shot.
3-2
Shut the
with a
fuck up.
tune.
Shut the fuck up. This card is not a 3-2. There's no way.
Like, think about it. Like, your opponent has played 6 spells, the incredible cost of playing 6 spells, and they've got like 1 spell mana. So obviously, you deserve to get burbled on. Like, I don't know. That just
Okay,
seems
but back
reasonable
in
to
the
me.
day, bro. In 2021, though, I mean, how do you play 6 spells? That's so many spells. What, you're gonna play like Ballistic Bot? Come on.
This got better by like racing more cards though. Let's be honest. Also, that's the thing that like day one Burblefish wasn't that oppressive. It was like very good card, of course. But like
It was fucking broken. It was fucking broken. In TFs, it shit was broken.
It was in TFs it was broken. But
People
like,
would chuck that shit and go hard, and it was good.
They're good. Okay.
You put no
because
effort.
It gave you go ahead sometimes. I'm gonna be coping that it got better because of new cards as well.
I mean,
It's also
that's certainly a true statement. The conclusion of, it wasn't that busted back then.
okay, maybe it was. I guess we also played the entire as well. Yeah, I guess this guy was busted. Okay.
Card was pretty good. Yeah, we'll see what rotation comes. Again, I just hope that we have more viable ways to play the game. That's all that I want. I just want the game to be fun. And you know, when the games just like throw big boys at each other for 6 months, it's not particularly fun to me. So I just want it to be fun. And you know what? This Worlds meta was pretty fun, by the way. Like, to be clear, fuck Mordekaiser. But like, there was a lot of really fun decks around.
So very skillful, right? Like in the end, we had a lot of mirrors, but in the end, like there was crazy skill fighting. Like Nedim mirrors are very skillful, I think. Karma mirrors are very skillful, I think.
Oh, Ionia
Mordekaiser
PNZ.
mirrors are
Oh
very
my god.
skillful.
How many times did we see people like actively throw Ionia PNZ mirrors? Like, those mirrors are not easy. Yeah, no, the games were a lot of fun. Like, I think that like for Worlds, I think this was great. I think that Worlds patches should be more powerful because it's more exciting to watch. And B, I think that it should lean towards like, you know, decks that you're able to like express your skill on. You know, if we saw 60 people bring like Elder Dragon Elites, I think that probably would have been bad, but as it was, I think that I think it was very good.
Yeah,
It was so cool.
something that I'd really like to see with like, I don't know if it's even possible because like patch cadence is hard, but like I don't think we need more patches, but I feel like it'd be really useful if we had a patch between card releasing and tournaments happening because like this Worlds meta was good, but most of the time they release cards and it is messed up.
But when you say that, I think I heard you say that, but like, what would that look like?
Yeah,
so currently it's like
tournaments.
No,
like,
currently like cards release and then like 3 weeks later we have a tournament, and you could just have a patch between the two.
It's not possible because we need the to be still the 2-week window that they have to because of mobile phones, right?
And wouldn't we then like have like
No
what type
data.
of patch? Do you want like a full patch or do you want like the option to like hotfix stuff or?
I think like the option to hotfix is all that's really necessary.
Hotfix should be maybe I think I do agree that maybe Summer should have
Yeah.
hotfix.
The thing that
maybe hotfixing might be fine, like doing it more often. But I said patch I don't think are possible because of the 2 weeks window for mobile phone. And in the end, we need like we need 2 weeks to like stabilize meta. Then we need like the 2 weeks to ship the patch and stuff. It's not doable.
What I'd really want doesn't really need like meta stabilizing because like we've had this experience where like Samira released and it's like clear Samira needs a hit, and it's like you don't have to like get Samira in line with this patch. What we need is like pressure relieved, where it's just like, okay, this card is fucked up. Let's.
I don't think. Pearls, elusive Pearls. Do we remember that deck? That deck was so broken, right? How is what's called the 5-mana spell? Also like that was first action of for argument.
Iceborne Legacy.
Iceborne Legacy. Everyone fuck is wrong. The deck was made. Like that's once again that's also the case of this. Of course, Samara was obvious, but yeah, Iceborne was also obvious to a lot of people, and we figured out that it wasn't that good.
I think that having like more like that, you know, those that potential to be like knocking down like decks as they come up, like these good decks. I don't know if that's good. Because I think that we'll end up with like a lot more samey metas, right? Where if like the new stuff that comes in is like a little bit strong, and then like it gets nerfed, and then we just like fall back to what we were playing before. I do think that there's like value in the fact that like we're constantly, like playing on new patch with like new stuff and like, it's a battle of the new stuff versus old stuff and like what comes out on top. And I think that there's value in that. I think that like if we just, nerf it, I'm not crazy about that.
Usually
To
first
be
open
fair,
was
like
with new
I'm
cards.
not yeah, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, the Siren Song tournament was great. Thank God for Siren Song." Like, of course, I'm not gonna do that. But at the same time, I generally like steer on the side of like I would prefer fewer
Mhm.
hot fixes. I'm not like a big fan of like just like hitting shit randomly off cadence like a few days before whatever. Especially because people are so inclined to like knee jerk reaction to decks.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I really would not want it to be like, oh, this is like slightly overperforming. Got it. It would very much be like, okay, I can look at Siren Song and see like this probably isn't okay. I can bump it 1 mana and be like, is that going to fix the problem?
Sure, but
I don't know.
what about like Wildfire?
Yeah.
I would not want Wildfire hit in a patch like that.
I
Um,
would agree with you 100%. I don't think that Wildfire should have gotten hit how it did get hit. But if we did have a cadence like that, with how much bitching happened about Wildfire, we would have ended up with like, yeah, this Wildfire card was like relevant for a week and then it got hit because of Reddit and it has never seen play. But we got at least one tournament off of it because we like don't have that type of cadence, right?
Yeah.
um,
Once again, yeah, I do agree with you. Like, I think this is just yeah.
I think it's
It's just
really hard though. I think Riot's in a really hard position without just having like 20 more patches and like they're
yeah.
they're constantly being willing to hotfix like TFT. Like I think it's really hard for them. Um and like I understand where you're coming from and that like it feels like metas oftentimes end up like landing in a more reasonable spot after things have been touched once and we don't want just like every tournament to just be like ran over by whatever the new OP thing is. But at the same time, I don't know. I
But
think
we
there's
should,
like
yeah. But we should the WCK tends to be about all decks, right? And also kind of like once again, as like it was Jackson, it was IMG, so it was usually the WCK meta as well. Like again, like I I don't think I agree with you. Maybe hotfix if really necessary. I do agree with you. I think we maybe should have maybe hotfix summer. I think that's maybe a thing to argue. We maybe should have hotfix Siren Song, but I don't think anything else really needed that this
I
year.
think maybe specifically Siren Song. Maybe specifically the card Siren Song. I don't know if like Samir was broken, but like I think again, but I've said a million times, I'm willing to forgive cards being broken if they're fun. If they
Yeah.
create fun and interesting games, then like I don't care if they're broken.
The main thing that I like, I don't know. I wish that Riot would shoot a bit higher on power level and know that they could hit something after 2 weeks or something. Because like I really don't want to deal with a Heart of the Huntress expansion again, where it's like one card that's miserable, busted, gets nerfed into the ground, and then the expansion just doesn't exist.
I mean,
I
yeah,
think I
we,
think
we
they
saw
are.
like we saw like variety tech cards come in, right? Like there definitely were like new cards in decks, but there weren't really like new decks.
Yeah. Also,
I mean,
yeah. I think also Turtle said on Twitter that he thinks that the Heart of Hunters was like not the greatest hit because they like really need champions, right? Nico is a very neat champion. Pearl King is a very neat champion. It's like Nidali is having like its package. I think it
Yeah,
was just
very
like
niche, very niche
yeah,
champions, right?
yeah. It was like very niche. It was like I think that was just like Heart of Hunters was mostly issue. I think because of the champions that we got. Like it was it was like good variety champions, but it wasn't supposed to be the main champions, right? These that we got.
Yeah, it felt like the playstyles that they were catering towards, weren't they were very niche, and especially if they're landing on like not an ultra strong side, like it does feel like the expansion like could have been planned out a little bit better.
yeah,
But
I mean, some of the problems I think do come from like development lead time leading into rotation, where like Samira feels like she was targeting old format, where she was coming in hot to try and deal with Aphelios, Ezreal, probably like broken ass Aatrox, like all this crap was when Samira was getting designed. And then like rotation hits, those get taken out, and Samira just lands with no competition. And then Heart of the Huntress comes out, and the development lead time was like developing, and like Aatrox has been nerfed. All this stuff is gonna get rotated. We're gonna like put this in a much lower power level, and
Well, I think that was actually like that's actually true because I think Summer was like released even before like Kane, right? Before into like we know that it usually champions to be like a year before they got released. So they've already like World 2024 already completed or very close to it. I assume we're at currently.
Mhm.
So that's something definitely like worth to mentioning. So I think Samara was she was released or she was made before even Kane hit the live server, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, we have
I guess we don't
More
have
rookie?
anything more.
I
We have
don't
2
think
hours.
so. We do have 2
um,
hours, so
But I want to invite you, chat and our listeners, to episode that we're gonna have on 3rd of January. We're gonna have Aegis Red joining us, and we're gonna do some year in the review episode when we're gonna be talking about the new year, what went good in 2022, what went bad and stuff. We're gonna be giving a lot of feedback throughout, regarding the new competitive system as well. We're gonna be also having Aegis Red. He's like the main person in Aegis, of course, that did the Aegis broadcast, Worlds broadcast as well, doing the Aegis league. So it's gonna be kind of interesting to give some feedback, to also talk about the years and how it went, and give some feedback. I'm also gonna do on like in upcoming week Twitter post where you can also give your feedback about the competitive system. So check that out as well. You have links in the description, I guess. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching.